The Drop with Frank and Brian is officially brought to you by Switch Suspension. Switch Suspension specializes in all vehicle chassis components. Lift kits, lowering kits, air ride suspension, wheels, tires, steering, and brake upgrades. They use all the best products from the best brands. And these guys are truck guys. You roll into their parking lot at the shop and they all drive custom vehicles. So they use their products that they sell on their own vehicles. So if you guys are looking for anything for your vehicles, whether you're just starting out or you just need some replacement parts or whatever, give them a call or visit their website, switchsuspension.com.
Yes.
All right, well, here we go.
All right.
Okay, well, welcome to this week's episode of The Drop with Frank and Brian, and we have Joe Molina from C10 Vatos.
How's it going?
It's going well.
Thanks for having me.
Finally.
Yeah, I know, finally. This has been kind of a long time in the making.
Yeah, we've talked about this before, and I'm excited.
The funny story is you were one of the reasons this podcast exists. Mm-hmm. Because you were on the first guest on our live when we did our giveaway.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was sort of like the very beginnings, because, you know, we were always talking about doing a podcast, and that was like the very beginning of like actually doing something and talking to somebody. I remember being done with that, because we talked for like an hour.
Yeah,
we were like a long time.
It was funny because it was when we got off, a lot of people were texting me, "Oh, that was really cool. That was fun."
Yeah.
And I think that was like a random Friday night.
Yeah.
Like we were just coming home from somewhere, and I was like, oh, yeah. I was like, oh, I'm going to barge in. You know, I'm just me being me, messing with you guys. And it was fun, though. Yeah, it was. We were just.
I remember being done with it and being like, yes, that's the feeling. Like, it was such a cool feeling to do that. And yeah, that was sort of like the prelude, the pilot of the pilot.
The pilot of the pilot.
The pilot of the pilot.
It made us a little comfortable in like doing it. Mm-hmm. Because like you were probably, he was always comfortable like talking in front of the camera and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But me, I wasn't as much. So
We've talked about that a lot.
Yeah.
About you not being like, Frank's always been like the outgoing kind of.
I know.
I don't want to say like a character, but you're very
extroverted.
You are a character, but
I
you're you.
am. Yeah.
You're you. And like we've always talked about, like when Brian and I, it's like, oh, you need the vlog because he was doing all the traveling. And I'm like, man, that's really cool. And then you kind of just worked into it, and I think people were like, I felt the last couple of times that we've been in a booth together, people always come looking for you.
Yeah.
And it's like now you get to that point where people like recognize, hey, where's Brian at? Where's Brian at?
Yeah, there's a face to the thing.
Yeah, there's a face to the brand for sure.
And now Mike is part of that, so people come looking for Mike.
Yeah, dude, it's so funny.
Yes, yeah.
We're gonna
correct?
Yeah, Mike Milan. We're gonna talk to him soon. But yeah, it was like we were talking about how like it's so cool having Mike like come on as like he's like a bonus character kind of thing. You know, like I called it like an unlockable character.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure. No, yeah. And he's a lot like you guys, very likable, easy to get along with. It's somebody that I enjoy spending time with. Like you guys, you know, we've traveled a lot over the years. So.
Yeah. And traveling with people is not easy.
And staying in the same house. So not so much traveling because we're usually in different trucks and, kind of, but we've stayed at like same houses for 4 or 5 days, I think. About 4 days is the borrowed limit, and then we're done with each other.
No, I think the group that we have, like when we travel and like go to LST or something, I think our group is really good.
Yeah, we've had really good times and
really bad times.
Oh man, we'll get into that. Oh,
Yeah.
you know, I didn't even put that in my notes. Let me put that in my notes.
The LST adventures.
Yeah, if Lonnie, if you're listening to this, just stop right now.
Yeah, like Lonnie, skip this episode.
Lonnie.
Yeah. But yeah, we can kind of go back to the beginnings of this whole thing and tell us who you are and where you started from. Like, why are you here now?
How did I end up
Who
here?
is Joe Molina?
In a lot of ways, I think I'm kind of a lucky guy. I've always been surrounded or ended up with a good group of people, starting with my club, Sever Ties. So I've been in the club, since about 93.
Wow.
Dang.
So it's been a long time.
That is a long time.
Along the way, I've met a lot of great people, done a lot of traveling, a lot of shows.
How did that come about? Meeting the guys in Severed.
You
Do you remember?
It's hard.
What are you trying to say?
It's hard. There's a lot of stuff that I do forget, and I'll look at pictures, and I have a lot of old pictures, and I'll be like, man, I remember that truck, but I don't remember that person.
I can relate. I got into Forbidden in 95.
Yeah.
I can relate because people will go, hey, remember me? I was in the club. And I'll be like,
oh, no, we get that. Hey, remember we were at that run? Man,
no.
Those were a long time ago. Different times.
Different memories.
At the time, prior to being in the club, so I would say officially this is the only club I've ever been in.
Yeah.
Prior to that, I had some friends that I would hang out with. My buddy Tim Poindexter, and then he has since passed, but he was like a mini trucker. He was a California guy, moved out here, and I met him through work and started hanging out. And he had an old Hilux, like a 70s, and it was slammed and had some side drafts on it and everything. And we used to always hang out and just go cruising. And then we met a couple other people, and we were just hanging out. And then the thought of, we should start a car club, and we had seen other clubs, around, and we were like, yeah. And then at the time we had gone, everybody used to go to Metro Center. So if you lived in Arizona or in Phoenix area, Metro Center was the big hot spot, and that was the big cruising zone, and everybody would go and hang out down there. And we just started meeting people and stuff. And at the time we met like little Robert Stewart. And I remember I met him first. He was probably like the first fabricator guy back in the day. And he's actually probably helped a lot of our current builders that we know that are very famous or well known for building. Kind of, I think,
set the path.
It's kind of set the path for them, I would say. And we met him, and then we just started meeting more people. You know how it is. You just start hanging out. And back then, there was always house parties. Oh, so-and-so's having a house party. I don't know him. Well, just come along. It's cool. And then you just kind of meet more people. Ended up meeting Kurt along the way. And back then, I had an old 720. It was like an 82.
So the truth comes out.
No, yeah, definitely mini trucker. I started off as mini trucker.
Because he said that he hasn't had a mini truck.
Yeah.
I haven't had a mini truck in a long time. I've had people ask me, would I build another mini truck? Probably not. There's certain ones that I still have a soft spot for. The Nissan, the 720s, the square ones, pre-Nissan, I should say, even the Datsuns,
Yeah.
So,
what year was your first one?
81. So I had like the California bed. It wasn't the smooth bed.
So my first mini truck was 86 Toyota that I had lowered. But my very first mini truck was a 83 Nissan 720.
Yeah.
A blue one.
Yeah.
That Nissan blue they had back then. So, hey, that's cool.
Yeah. And it was a bucket, man. It was cool. I didn't have cool cars till a couple years later, years down the road.
What did you get into Severed with?
My 720, because at the time I started met those guys, and then I was like, oh, you got to get it lower, and I was like, yeah, and I had kind of wheels that stuck out a little bit, and that was the look,
Yeah.
And then I was like, ended up getting some wheels that tucked, and started cranking on the torsion bars and notched the back, and got as low as I could on leaf springs and repositioned the leaf spring and stuff. So, and then it was just kind of like a under construction vehicle, at the time. That was allowed, so big stereo. I was always a big stereo guy, and just started smoothing and shaving and doing a bunch of stuff. And then as I kind of the years progressed, I got a Honda Civic, a 4-door Honda Civic. It was a 91.
Those were cool.
Yeah, that was
cool
and it was slammed, and it was originally red, and then we did a color change. We put it 96 Mustang orange, had the Brightex slider, just static drops, deep static drop, big stereo.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like my first, I would say, nice vehicle that really deserved a logo. All shaved out, full color change, and went to all the river runs and did all that with Severed. And, so
you got into Severed in 93. Severed was started in 92. So you're almost there from the beginning.
I was real close. It was probably, man, like I said, it's hard. I would say it was probably late 93 when I really got in and stuff. So, but yeah, definitely.
Were you the first Severed Arizona person?
No.
Oh,
so
really?
Kurt which was one of the Brett Oaks, obviously started the club, and then it was like Brett, Fast Eddie, and Kurt. Kurt had come out here to go to school. He was going to one of the mechanical schools, and when they were left the club that they were in, that's when they started Severed Ties.
Right, Choice Concepts.
Yeah.
They severed the ties.
Yeah, severed the ties, and so they left Choice. And at the time, it was a big thing. We were the first chapter out here. I'm not saying I was one of the original members, but I was pretty close.
Arizona's like OG stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like a lot of people say that like Southern California was like the hotbed for mini trucking, which I think so was in the very beginning. But I mean, SoCal and Arizona are like they're always put together. Like those things are always too put together.
Yeah, for sure. Especially thinking back to the old river runs, like you would just see the caravan of mini trucks coming from Arizona going out to
Clubs were a big thing.
Oh,
like
huge.
here, and there's like truck clubs, mini truck clubs.
Yeah.
They've been around. I mean, forever. Like when you go to the river runs, there was quite a bit of Arizona representing out there.
Yeah. They've always lived within parallel of each other. I don't think you can say any. At least that early '90s kind of like iteration of mini trucking.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because I've been listening, like learning a lot and looking at a lot of things of like the new minis guys, and they existed like in the 80s and stuff like that.
Those are
but
OGs right there.
they're OGs. But what I'm really starting, and I could be like speaking out of turn here when I say this, but like I feel like they're a mini truck scene, but they're not our mini truck scene. Like it existed parallel to each other, but it was two different things.
Yeah,
I'm very curious to find out, because I listened to the New Minis podcast, and they talk about being in clubs back in the day, but you don't really hear them talk about like river runs. Like river runs to me is such an integral part of mini truck culture, our mini truck culture.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And I hardly hear them talk about that.
They were more borderline, like just a few steps off the lowrider.
Exactly.
Scene,
Yeah.
So they were like very Los Angeles, Cruise Whittier.
Right.
Yeah.
That was their party,
Yeah.
like house parties and stuff.
Yeah.
And then the river runs were more
Like an Inland Empire, Arizona
desert. You know what I mean? Like you look at all those guys, and it was mostly Inland Empire, and then like desert people, like high desert, and then where Brett's from, like
like Yucaipa.
Yeah.
I mean not Yucaipa. Yucca.
Yeah, and then Arizona, obviously, because it was right smack dab in the middle.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, I think that those things like existed but parallel. Like I don't know, that was just something that I've been like kind of thinking about lately.
So you went to the river runs and stuff during the height of the banning of Severed.
Dude.
You guys had your own peninsula. I remember.
Yeah, Bob used to put us in the back
in the zoo.
already in the zoo. And keep us away and tell people not to go back there.
It was like.
It was. I used to love. We used to 3-wheel around there. My buddies Mitsu and Hydraulics, and we would just post 3-wheel right around the peninsula. But you would get the stairs because it was Severed, Negative Camber. There was some other clubs kind of nestled, but it was mostly you guys in the center and around that outskirt. Yeah. And you would you could see the stairs. Like people would be like, "Oh yeah, they're cool. They're coming back here." Like yeah.
You would see the stairs from like the Severed people, or
like they would be like, "Oh, they're coming in our area. They're cool."
See,
yeah.
Being so like I exist in a much different kind of like area, because like I came from a small desert club, and I was aware of all these big clubs and stuff, but it was almost like you guys were kind of in that world, so you guys knew each other and everything was cool. Well, we kind of existed just outside of that world, so it was very intimidating. So like you said that Bob would say like to tell people to stay out of there, and that's how I was going to my first river run, and like the guys in my club were like, don't go and you're severed. See, they're gonna take your women and drink all your beer.
I was very like pushing I wanted to kind of like push back on that a little bit, because Forbidden was a small club at that time. Still, comparatively, it is. But I was like, well, I want to be known. Like I want to be a little more rebellious. Like, why are those guys cool? I want to be that way too. So I want to be like, I want them to see our cool cars. So like, it was almost like that type of thing.
We were cool because of our presidents. For sure.
Your presidents?
Yeah. I mean, Brett. You guys gotta get Brett on here.
Oh boy.
Brett, you need to do this. No, man, it was definitely. I'm kind of, I don't want to say I'm more of a mellow person until you mix the alcohol. And then I get really outgoing. And you guys know that.
I've personally seen it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I'm not proud of stuff. It's happened. When you're a 20-year-old and you just mix alcohol and you're not eating and you're just partying, you're out in the sun.
Yeah.
It happens. And you get a couple thousand 20-year-olds together, stuff's going to happen. And, and those are times from a long time ago.
Yeah. But Severed was never afraid to like if you look at back of the old photos, they were all body dropped.
Yeah.
They were like, they were cut up.
The guys, definitely, the guys that had the trucks back then, they were extreme. They were, they did everything. They'd be the lowest, and that's for sure.
Yeah, like if you wanted to be part of that group, you had to be extreme.
Right.
Yeah.
In the truck and the way that you kind of like were.
Mm-hmm.
Like you partied pretty hard.
Yeah.
Like you were down with this like kind of almost like a motorcycle type gang type thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's the impression that I got.
Yeah.
As kind of like as a person just outside of that. And I remember like way back in the day when, every club had a website. So like I would go check out the Severed Ties website and in bold letters they say you got to be show ready. We're gonna we'll check you like if it's Friday at 8 p.m. and your truck's not ready to go for Saturday morning, you're gonna get in trouble kind of thing.
Yeah, no, it was definitely lived by the rules, and it was they were stern rules. And back then too, it was you only had 2 states. So as time goes on, things change, you go farther east or into the south. Might be a little bit different standards,
Yeah.
And but I to this day, if you come to a car show, if you're bringing your show vehicle, you better be clean and ready to show. And and if there's petitioners there, they're helping you clean. If you need something, hey, we need help. It's probably not as hard as it used to be being a petitioner.
Yeah.
But no, we've have a couple guys that have been gone through it here in the last year and a half.
Oh, really? Like new petitioners
new
and stuff.
Petitioners, right? We actually just voted. Our Phoenix chapter just voted a new member in Sunday. So,
cool.
Yeah, 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So that's always kind of. That's the good part of being a president because I'm currently the president of the Arizona.
Have you been the president the whole time, or there been ins and outs?
There's been Kurt was the president prior to me.
Oh, okay.
So he moved back to California, and at the time, I don't want to say he was prepping me, but he kind of I had taken over the show and kind of being more hands on with a lot of the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
When you're in a big club, stuff happens, and I was kind of getting more involved and trying to solve problems and
The inner workings.
and stuff. The stuff that you don't really want to turn your members onto, or you
don't have to bother them
with all the decisions. It's easier to make a decision with 12 people than it is 400 people.
Yes. Right.
So I had gotten kind of involved, and when Kurt moved back, it was my turn to take over, and and at some point it'll be somebody else's turn to take over because I always feel that you need fresh blood.
Mm-hmm.
You need
fresh motivation.
Fresh motivation, definitely.
Yeah.
Not saying that I've lost interest, but over the last couple of years, I've had a lot of big changes in my life, and sometimes I feel like, oh man, I gotta remind myself, I gotta do this for the club or do stuff.
It's really a time thing too, and also, like speaking of motivation, like being motivated. Not being responsible for a lot of that stuff will remotivate you.
Yeah,
because you could go, I could just go to this show and not worry about stuff.
Yeah.
I could just go to the meeting and not worry about stuff.
Yeah.
So
make it more enjoyable. You
could just be at a supporting role versus.
Because also being a president, Sunday was a good meeting. We had a good meeting, voting somebody in and giving them their logo. That's a real.
Yeah, it's cool.
To see that. And somebody, and they're excited, and they're like something they've worked for the last couple of years. Meeting prior to that, I had to let a couple guys go. That's the downside of being a president.
You guys are trading people in and out.
Yeah, well, as life goes on, things don't become a priority, which is very understandable. And I've always told, and that's maybe the bad thing with me being a president, I tell people the club shouldn't be your priority, your family, your job. But we should be up there in that top 5, top 10. You know what I mean? And it's really hard when somebody has kids and you're like, oh, I need you at this show. Well, it's my kid's 5th birthday. You know what I mean? What are you going to do?
Yeah.
I'm not that person.
Yeah.
Right.
You know? So Sunday, to see the spark in somebody like that, and they get that logo, and they get
That's
to
cool.
talk about it on the world page and introduce themselves. So that's a big thing.
Yeah,
so,
that's really cool.
So that's a good part of being in charge.
Yeah.
One of the good parts. So.
Yeah. There's always the highs and lows.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So,
And
but
you've been through them,
we're getting like some fresh members like in SoCal, where our SoCal chapter is the OG chapter.
Yeah.
So like it just goes through like a stale thing. And that's okay. It's the same people, but we just got a couple like new people recently that are kind of coming in. And
Are they younger people, or are they people from other clubs?
they're
If you don't mind
actually,
me,
they're actually old members.
Really?
That
Oh.
just kind of like dropped off, and now they're back. And they both have C10.
Oh, wow. I'm opening my
Vote 'em in.
website. Vote them in. Vote them in. They got my vote. I've helped vote
All right,
your members.
we'll
in
let
before.
them know. But yeah. So but they're still like they're back and rejuvenated and excited, and they're going to things, and it's like other people are like, oh, other people are going to stuff. Now I'm going to go to stuff.
So are they a little bit older people? Like
They're about the same ages.
Yeah.
So they were in the club. Life happened. Marriage, kids, maybe. And that became the priority.
Yep.
Now kids are a little bit older and they're
Yep.
coming back. And we've had people do that too.
Yeah.
We've had it, and that's always
Yeah.
cool to see them come back. And it's like, and they're like.
Yeah.
Kids are a little bit older. They're teenagers, or they're moving out, and
The
now
kids, the kids just do their thing. So now as a parent, I'm not a parent, but I see it, the cycle.
No, yeah.
And it's like, oh, now the kids are playing with their friends on the weekends, so I now have time
Right.
to like do things. And
Well, they don't need so much intense, like, not watching, but intense, like what's the word?
Care.
Yeah, like care
Yeah.
or like attention. They don't
Yeah.
need so much intense attention.
No
that they
teenager
can-
wants to hang out with their parents.
Yeah, I know, right? I know. I got one of them. And people don't do nothing. But yeah, no, and yeah. You were asking about like ages and stuff like that, because we have another petitioner up in our Bakersfield chapter, and he's like the same age. We don't have like a lot of like new young people coming in.
And that's
Which-
what I've kind of seen. And that a lot of times that worries me. I don't want to say worries me. It should be a concern, because I think a lot of times a lot of the older people, that me included, I think we're unapproachable. I think to younger kids.
we're also just old.
Yeah.
Old,
And
yeah.
when you were 20, I mean,
Yeah.
if you were hanging around a 40 to 50-year-old, you're on two different levels.
Yeah.
I also don't want to hang out with 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're just different than me.
Yeah, no, yeah, for sure.
There was like that point where you're like, I don't know any of this music you're listening to. I don't know what you're talking about. This is weird. But again, there is younger truck people, but they're not in mini truck clubs like we are.
Yeah,
They're doing their own thing.
yeah, exactly.
So they're out there. They're just not. They just don't want to get in. I think with a group of old guys.
Yeah, which makes total sense. Like, because
Yeah.
when I started getting into like car culture and stuff, when I was really young, I would go to like the Wednesday cruise nights, which were all the older guys. Because like when I was really young, I just fell in love with the cars and the culture. And then when I was old enough to participate, that happened. I just went to there and I'm like, oh, these are a bunch of old guys, but that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And one thing that I've kind of come to the conclusion of and kind of like settled in and have been more comfortable with is now we're just kind of all growing old together. You know what I mean?
And it's fun
it's kind of like a downer, but
It's actually I like watching it. I like watching my friends go through the motions of life. Like it's fun, like to me, at least to me. But when I was 18, when I got in Forbidden Fantasy, the president at the time was 24. And I was like, you are so old.
yeah.
And then we had this guy, Rick. We called him Old Man Rick. Rick was 25.
Oh,
And Rick was actually in Severed up in SoCal. He lived in Big Bear. And he had just gotten out of Severed. And he was like our president, Mike Quigley's best friend. So he was getting in Forbidden. And we called him Old Man Rick. And now I'm like,
25.
He was 25.
I'm twice that age now.
Yeah.
Scary.
You're double old man.
Yeah, I'm
Double.
double old man. Yeah.
So like I can only think of like if you're 18 and you see someone's 40 plus, you're just like, oh.
Well, because in my club, the first club that I was in, we called him Grandpa, and he was like 40.
Oh man. Yeah. Yeah. It's just it would be, in a way, I kind of wish there was like that young crowd that had that spark and drive that we did, that we would spend all our money and resources and try to get our friends that like, I need to get this thing notched. How do we do that? And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, so-and-so's done one. And we go and look at it. And then,
Like
okay,
no care in the world.
no
Yeah.
care.
Doesn't
Just-
like you have to drive that truck to work on
Oh,
Monday,
yeah.
and it's Sunday, and
Yeah.
the bed's off and the frame's hacked off.
Oh, yeah.
You're just like-
We're like cutting a notch in it. Like, I hope. And you're not thinking, like, is this going to be straight? Did we brace this? We're just.
I know. There's
just-
so much that you think about now. You're just like, is this geometry? Is this geometry right? Is this da 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 da? Back then, we're just like, hey, does it go up and down?
Yeah, just
Yeah.
go up and
Yeah.
down and drive straight-ish.
Yeah.
Not even
Close.
straight-ish,
Yeah.
close.
Yeah.
But our Dallas chapter, Dean is young, and then Rich up in
Richard.
Canada. His daughter, I think she's 21,
No, wow.
and she's petitioning.
So that's second generation?
The second generation.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple. Not. I don't think in our chapter. No, I don't have any second. But I know there's other clubs and people around that have second. Their kids are grown now.
Zaccardi.
Yeah.
You know, his kids into it.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, it's there. It's just not. It's just a different time.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking about this a little bit with Seth Switch Suspension,
Yeah.
because he used to go to the truck runs and all that, and we were like, we didn't have social media to get together, so we had to go to destinations
Yeah.
with big groups of people.
Drive 3 hours,
Now-
4 hours.
Magazines. We'd look at an ad in a magazine
Yeah.
3-4 months prior and be like, we're going to this.
Yes.
And then plan it out. and
There.
go.
So like now you could just go into your club worldwide chat,
Yeah.
and there's hundreds of people in there you can talk to at any point in time.
Yeah.
You couldn't do that before.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we still go to car shows and get-togethers and stuff, but it was definitely, you were more excited and
Yeah.
young and
Yeah,
full of
the-
energy and
Yeah.
like,
Well, that's it. Young
adventure
and full of
and-
energy.
Yeah. Definitely, I think it was the lack of media, because all we had was that magazine
Yeah.
or a couple of pictures that somebody snapped and be like, oh, dude, here.
And
this is the
stories. Did you
and
hear what
stories.
happened?
Oh, yeah.
She
The
was
stories
wild.
would take weeks to get across. Now somebody's crashes into a fence in Texas. You know about it. I'm sitting at work like, oh, dude, somebody crashed into a fence 15 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like sitting at work, whatever. But
it's definitely a different thing.
It's
yeah,
definitely a different thing.
Maybe we've been oversaturated with information. car
Oh,
show,
well, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
We're definitely oversaturated with a lot of stuff. So we kind of went over the Severed. What about this show, Severed in the Southwest?
Severed in the Southwest.
Like, so
That's-
you guys throw an event out here. How many years have
yeah.
you been
So
doing
this
now?
is year 24. This is
That's
gonna be year,
a
yeah.
long time.
Yeah.
It's a long time. We took 2020 off, obviously, for
2020
obviously.
and 2021.
Oh, yeah.
do we take 21 off
Yeah.
also?
I think you did.
No, we took 20 off.
20 off?
Yeah. Yeah. It was funny because I was kind of going, I kind of figured you guys would come to this topic, and I'm like, I better know. On count, I have it on count as number 24. And I think we had done some way back then, some like other little shows, maybe
Yeah.
not officially Severed in the Southwest and stuff. So,
Did that start at Castles and Coasters?
we might have had Severed in the Southwest at a prior location. That was before I was heavily involved in it.
Yeah.
I probably took over about 10 years ago, and that was kind of one of my big projects was like turn the show around, because I'd kind of fallen, I don't want to say stale, but we had to just change things around.
Yeah.
We had, eventually we moved from being a Sunday show. The shows always used to be Sunday.
Yes.
And then we get people complain, oh, it's so hard for me to get away. It's like we moved it to Saturday. And I just kind of realized that people like, I work on Saturdays. Well, the number of people I work on Saturdays compared to it's hard for me to leave Arizona and drive back
Yeah.
home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
There's a
remember
lot
that back in the
less.
day. Shows were always on
More
Sundays.
people work on Monday than Saturday.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's more
for
important.
sure. So I had to make that call, and there was a little bit of pushback and stuff, but I think it was a smart choice, and I feel a lot of one-day shows are Saturdays now.
Yeah. Well, ours used to be Sunday too.
Yeah.
And we moved
That
it.
was the OG thing, back in the day. All
Yeah.
the shows.
Well, you brought up
one-day
earlier
shows.
about interstate travel wasn't kind of until later in
Yeah.
the scene.
Sundays were
So,
fine
like-
because it only took an hour to get home.
Yeah, or less or whatever, you know. Yeah.
But
yeah.
then people coming out of town, and
Yeah.
you as a club promoter, or show promoter, you're just like, oh, I want people from out of town. That's so cool. You're going to come here.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's hard because got to drive home Sunday after.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We've been for a smaller show. But Arizona, we're a big show. We've had people all the way from Washington, Texas,
That's
South
cool.
Texas. So it's always cool, like when people are like, we're coming, or I get the message, I'm coming, man, and cool. I'm like, it's excited. It makes all that work you put into doing a show worthwhile when everybody's like, I had a great time, Obviously, there's always the ones that are like, I'm never coming back, and you guys, whatever. But
Yeah, well, those are the ones you're like, we don't need you.
yeah, I don't want you here, honestly.
Yeah.
If you're gonna, bash any show, don't go to shows.
Yeah.
If you go to shows to try to get a trophy,
Or if you don't, or because we've made mistakes at our show. Like
Everybody
I look
makes
back
a
and I go,
mistake.
oh, that probably should have got an award, but we just messed up.
Yeah.
And I go, but how you like as a show goer?
Yeah.
If you don't get a trophy, you have to realize like maybe you were the mess up that time. Mm-hmm. Like you don't need to go online. Or remember back in the day, people would put the trophies behind their truck and drag them out of the event.
Oh, yeah. No, we've had guys
Yeah.
take a trophy and literally throw it on the ground.
I've seen that
was
before, like
person's-
leaving them behind or whatever,
Yeah.
throwing them in the. Yeah, it's
Like,
so
man, I'm sorry you
ridiculous.
feel that way.
Yeah, you are a miserable person.
Yeah.
And,
right?
And if you really want us to come out and point out all the issues with your vehicle, I won't do it, but I definitely have members that will do it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we should just do that instead of praising the cars as a points. Like, you get a point for this. Let's just start at 100. And
Yeah,
go
that's what I was
down.
gonna say. Like
Yeah.
start at 100
Yeah,
and just start
for sure.
deducting, and
Yeah,
whoever
like,
has
oh,
the
look
highest
at that
one.
rock chip. Oh, you guys didn't think to clean the Doritos out of your seat? You slob.
Yeah.
That's me.
Frank's like, I got to
Frank at the
calling
show
you
a
out.
Yeah.
A couple about a month ago, we were all standing. I don't know what we were doing, but we like looked down at Frank. He had his 4Runner trunk or the deck lid open like he was showing something.
Yeah.
And I'm all, you didn't even wipe in here.
It's like full of
And then
dirt.
like, one guy comes over and they're like, dang, and then it just becomes this whole thing. We're about
Oh,
to
man.
we're just
Everything
bashing
apart.
him.
Frank's
It's
like,
fine.
thanks.
He
Yeah, I
just
can
goes like
take it.
this. He just shuts it. Click.
And I just don't say anything. Just get in and drive away. like with crying.
You guys, your 4Runner's cool though. I mean, it's,
you.
It's slammed, laid out,
Thanks.
family hauler.
Yeah.
You guys seem to go to a lot of the local shows. In your
I mean,
area.
yeah,
Well,
that's-
not local shows, but shows in your area.
Yeah. Yeah. That's because like that's what we do when we do all the stuff like the booths and traveling and stuff. That's sort of like where I just can exist.
Yeah.
Like taking a
Brought
booth.
it out to Severed. Did you get a trophy?
Did I? No, I don't think I did. Too much dirt.
Turn it off.
Oh yeah, I gotta go. Well, I don't judge, so I'm just the guy that sets everything up and gets everything going, and I have members that do everything else. Honestly, I as a show promoter don't feel I should be judging. Because then there's always like that thing of like, well, that guy's sponsored by your main sponsor.
Oh,
What
yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like,
I see.
And I've always kind of just wanted to get myself away. Like my main issue is getting everything there, everything that needs to be at the show there. Everything's handled, insurance,
And
artwork,
everything's smooth
and everything's smooth. And I get all my vendors set up, and I try not to get ran over by vendors on my bike.
Yeah. They're talking about me.
Yeah. So Frank almost killed me. But,
That was a really funny part of that video that I made about that too.
Yeah. Maybe
You came out of nowhere, man.
in real quick.
You
of
came
me
out of
almost getting
nowhere. I was
killed.
driving in, and I'm like this, and Angie's like, "Watch out!" There's Joe.
I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you here so late?
Gotta
Hurry
be
up.
careful around Frank's driving.
Yeah, I'm
man.
a
I've learned.
little flighty. I'm a little flighty
Be in front of him, like driving, and then behind him,
behind it,
on
and
a
then
bicycle.
no, but behind us coming back from LST, and when my
yeah.
trailer is falling apart, and you're like,
Yeah.
"Why is Frank's trailer
Yeah,
so
like-
messed up?"
His trailer's got camber on it. He's about that life, really.
Just beat to crap.
Oh, that poor trailer. I mean, that you guys racked up. I can't imagine how many miles that thing.
I
had before
was
the
thinking about that
rebuild.
the other day. I wonder exactly how many miles
You
I
guys-
pulled that thing
You
around.
guys have gone to a lot of shows.
Well,
I
I
was-
would probably estimate it at a good,
Well, each trip is about 5,000 miles.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
imagine that, and then just think about how many trips we've been on. And it's funny, you were talking earlier about like traveling to shows, like when it became a thing to like go out of state.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember a time when going to Arizona was like a huge thing. Like in my old club, I would tell them like, I'm going to go to Arizona to a show. And they're like, what?
yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm going
Yeah.
to go out to Phoenix. And they're like, no way, And then, yeah. So, and then now here we are, we travel like all the way to North
guys-
Carolina.
Yeah, Florida, and I mean, you guys have been everywhere.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. It's been fun. It's been a lot of fun going to a lot of different places, but
It's always enjoyable when you go somewhere totally different. And you see vehicles you don't see.
Yeah, for sure.
At every show.
Yeah, for sure. The first time going to like LST was crazy, and then the first time going to like Maggie Valley was crazy. Seeing like all of these different trucks that you don't see.
Seth
normally.
was like pumping me up on Maggie Valley.
Dude, yeah, Seth. Like, we were talking about in the last episode. Seth was all about Maggie Valley.
It just he had a spark in him. I went and met with him, after they got back from that trip, and you could just see it in him. He was like, man, it's just, and he's got a whole game plan for next year. I don't know if he talked about it.
Yeah.
It's
He did
a
little bit. Yeah.
It's gonna be that's gonna be huge. That's big, and honestly, he's a great person, man. That guy, whether he's my sponsor of Severed Southwest.
Yep.
Whether he was doing that or not, I'd still consider him a friend. He's one of those people that he's a good guy. He's a good guy and chill guy, and we enjoy hanging out with him and stuff. Like especially when we're at Forbidden, that's when we, the show ends and everything locks up and we have drinks and hang out.
Yeah,
the wives hang out and they all get along and stuff. So
we were talking about that, about how Arizona, that like everyone here has like seen each other go through all these. Like everyone's known each other for so long in the truck scene, like and worked at different things or throwing shows or being in clubs. They're from Perfect Poison and Negative Camber and Severed, and then all the shops. It's like, and then you go to a show and everyone's still there.
Yeah,
and they're still doing most of the people are still.
The majority of the people are still there for sure.
Like and then now with C10 Vatos, like you're part of that side of things.
Yeah,
like it's like I still feel like this guy that just came into Arizona and like I'm an outsider.
Really? You still feel like an outsider?
Yeah, because I don't feel like, I mean, this is just a thing. It's not like a real whatever. But yeah, I'm just like, because everyone here grew up together.
Right.
So I'm like the visitor that just kind of comes in and like, hey, this is your guys' thing. So what's up? What are we doing?
But you've been coming out here for so long to shows like you're like, I don't feel like part of the Arizona scene, either, but I feel like I've been coming here for so long that it is just sort of part of the fabric of the truck scene.
You're definitely part of the scene. You're a known person. You guys both are. When they told me Brian's moving out, why is he moving out here? What's going on? But it was for good reason that Brian came out here, and for me, it was. I'm glad Brian came into my life. He's been a big part of me starting my brand and kind of leading the way, holding my hand as, like I would roll a lot of questions on him because, me starting C10 Vatos, that was just spur of the moment thing that just happened. It wasn't something I was thinking about. It just happened within a few minutes.
Yeah.
It just started and I didn't know anything about merchandising and this and that. And you go back and look at those pictures from our first LST trip. We had a 10x10.
Yeah.
And we had
Frank had a 10x20. Mr. Booth over here.
Yeah, I know.
I know. Just coming in
like a full store, and we're just like huddled in this 10x10, split it down the middle.
Yeah.
And
we had a couple shirts, maybe 2 shirts each, a couple hats. You had your DVDs. You're still pushing the DVDs. And even our first show at Dino's, we kind of had like a table, just like a folding card table, and we were just kind of like. I think I sold maybe 1 hat and 1 shirt, and I was like,
"So
cool."
So going back to the C10 thing to start it off, like
because that's like the next thing.
So when did you? No, it's all right. When did you get your C10? And you've had that C10 obviously a long time before C10s were like cool.
I've had chain reaction since 2008. So the truck, and I had a C10 prior to that. And obviously at the time I had gotten a really good deal from a friend, buddy's dad, and I just wasn't in the position to do a build.
Pull that mic closer.
Yeah. So I didn't
pull the mic, like take the whole mic and put like just the whole stand. Keep going. Right there. Okay. Then
so I had a prior C10, and then that just didn't work out. It wasn't at the right time for me, and I didn't have the money. A couple years down later, like 2008 or so, late 2008, just had a little extra money, and at the time Morgan had left on a trip, and I told her, I was like, I'm buying something this week, and I don't know, I just for whatever reason I was looking for a project, and I'd always liked the square body C10s, and I just happened to find one that was lower and it was a 90s truck, and people today would probably pay top dollar for that truck. You know,
Yeah.
Southern California truck on Boyd's, and I think there were maybe 17s or 18s.
And how much did you buy it for?
It was under $3,000. Like
Oh,
the guy
wow.
started like
So
like the
crazy.
guy
Wow.
was like $4,000, and he was just hot to get rid of it. And I went and looked at it, and he's like, "Man, I'll give you a deal. I gotta sell this thing." I mean, I probably paid under $3,000 for it. I think I have it written down somewhere. But
And you bought it where was this at?
he was here. It was out in the Avondale area.
Oh,
Just-
okay.
I just
So
drove
running,
out.
driving.
Oh, okay.
Running, driving, V8, lowered, Beltec, all.
What do you
OG.
think that truck would,
Oh.
like if you were to like, because you recently bought more
Yeah.
C10s. So
Oh, yeah.
if you went and looked at a C10 right now, what would you expect to pay for that right now?
Oh, probably the way it was, 10,000 plus
Dang.
15,000,
Wow.
10 to 15,000. It was a small block 400 automatic. Just had the OG billet wheels. I mean, those billet wheels now I think go for about $2,000 a set.
Do you still have them?
No,
No.
I was down. I sold it for probably like 400.
Yeah,
bucks.
like yeah, yep. I've sold a set of wheels like that.
Yeah, it was like but yeah. So at the time, we kind of I was like, man, I want to do some stuff, and I was probably in a little better position to where I could invest some money into it, and
Did you know you wanted to cut it up right away?
I knew, yeah.
Well, yeah, he was a
I
mini
did,
trucker.
Yeah,
He was
that was
yeah.
still, I wanted the cool truck. I'd never had the really cool truck,
Like the cool show truck.
the cool
where it's
show
like
truck,
paint
that
outside,
was,
full interior, laid out, big
exactly,
wheels.
yeah. And Chain Reaction started off with like we were gonna lay it out and just kind of leave it patinaed. We didn't call it patina then, but we were just gonna like afford a paint job or whatever.
BD before Delmo.
Yeah, exactly.
So what? There was not much available back then except like lowering kits. Right?
No, yeah. At the time, the standard like Beltec style
Yeah.
kit, spindle springs, flip kit. I already had all that.
But nothing to bag it.
No, and it's funny. So right at that time, there was ways of doing it. You're cutting the control arms and doing all that and doing the Z. And that truck is still Z'd. It's still on the OG frame. It's done. It's laid out the old school way. And at that time, Jason from Suicide Doors, he had just started developing. He was one of the first guys that I remember that developed a drop member with the control arms and everything. And literally, like I was kind of asking around on the, it was probably one of the C10 forums. It was prior to obviously way before Facebook and all that.
But
stuff.
it was like Street Source, but for C10.
Yeah. It's still around to this day. I've been told, but so I was kind of asking about laying it out and this and that, and then Jason had reached out to me and said, "Hey man, I just developed this kit. It's like a full cross member," and it's like, okay. And he goes, "You won't have to Z it." Cool. And then so this was like he emailed me or messaged me at night, and then the next morning I saw it and cool. So I called Kurt, which he was the guy that was leading all the fabrication, all that stuff, AutoCore. And I was like, "Hey man, Jason has this kit," and he was kind of sent me some pictures, and he's like, "I just Z'd your frame last night." So it was cut, done. I was like, okay. He goes, "Well, he can send the control arms, so it like my truck still has like the first set of control
that's
arms."
cool.
And to this day, that guy builds amazing products. The guy's a genius.
The Suicide Doors.
Yeah, for sure. And so it's laid out old school way, traditional body drop. So it's difficult for a bigger guy to get into.
Yeah.
So we've been toying with the idea. I still have it. It's still in storage, 20
When
yards
was
from
the
here.
last time you actually drove it?
Oh,
Because I remember it being.
ago.
Was that in one of our videos at Art of Noise?
Really?
Yeah, that 2011 Art of Noise.
That's
shooting?
probably 2011, 2012. Sounds about right because that was when I blew it up.
Oh.
And I came home and I was doing burnouts and I was just being myself. And the tranny started slipping real bad.
It still has the same motor or different?
Everything, yeah. Everything was kind of like freshened up. The only thing we didn't freshen up was the transmission because it was one of those things we kind of just forgot about. And the truck snowballed and ended up going to the SEMA.
Yeah.
And typical SEMA tradition.
It's kind of
Last minute, it just kind of like, "Hey, did you get a transmission, a rebuilt transmission?" I was like, "No, I thought you were calling the guy. I'd go pay for it." And Friday night, 7:00. All right, put it in there, and we just, it still has the old transmission in there, and I destroyed it.
Yeah.
So that kind of made me park it, and then at that time we moved on to our Cadillac, so Ruby. So and I still have them both.
That's
I have a
cool.
hard time.
That's so cool, man.
I have a hard time letting go of stuff. I don't want to say I'm a hoarder, but I'm a car hoarder in a little bit of ways.
Yeah, but you're like sentimental.
Both those cars are like, first of all, they're great investments. Like you made a really good investment in that
At the
C10.
time. Yeah, I
Like
couldn't afford to
now.
build those vehicles now.
Yeah.
To that
What would you do to the C10? Would you unconventional it and
unconventional it.
then put a frame under it?
Yeah, frame. Probably LS. I'm a big LS guy now, thanks to Pruitt.
Yeah. Well, and you would need to replace the motor anyway, so it only makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it would just be a freshened up version of it, probably modern. Get rid of all the big screen. It was SEMA, 2010, 2009,
Yeah.
and it went a couple times. So it's 24-inch wheels laid out and rubber band tires,
And it was very like it was an untraditional C10.
Yeah, it
But
was.
by today's standards.
By today, yeah, it was a
Yeah.
very like modern
Yeah,
cut. Like the
Cut.
interior was
all
custom.
sheet metal, custom fiberglass.
It wasn't just like a Snowden seat or a TMI.
Yeah,
disc
there was
or-
nothing, other than those control arms. Everything else was probably fabricated or made for that truck. It has the big back window. That was my big idea.
What'd you do to the back window?
So the C10s, the square bodies have like that belt, that aluminum belt that goes around the back underneath the window, and the window's like really shorter. And I was like, man, I don't like it because the glass is, the windshield and the doors are on like one plane, and then you get to the back, and then the window's like way up here, and it's like that looks weird to me. And when it was all laid out, I was like, hey, what if we I drew it out for them. I was like, what if we made that window bigger? And at the time, Fast Eddie was working with Kurt and stuff and living out here. He said, yeah, that's a good idea. I haven't seen one done. So they did it, and when came time, we had a custom flat piece of glass put in there.
So it's real glass.
It's real glass.
Flat, so you can. It's pretty easy to.
Yeah,
cut
it's
it.
real
Okay.
easy to do. And now you have companies that make glued in glass, and then you can get all kinds of stuff. And back then we were like, I don't know, we'll figure it out.
I was, I don't know if you remember, I remember this, but when we were out here for Dino's last year and we came over to your house afterwards to hang out, like I was bragging to Angie about your C10, about how it like predated like all of this C10 stuff that is happening now. And you had the garage open and she peeked in and looked at it and she thought it was so cool and stuff. And then I think, I don't know if she asked you, I don't know who asked you, but they're like, would you put it on like a GSI chassis or something new? You're like, oh yeah, in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, for sure. All these new chassis that are out there. I mean, you have all the geometry and everything's worked out in rack and pinion, and that truck is not the easiest truck to drive.
Right.
I'll be honest. It looks cool as hell, laid out, and when you get at the right height and you're cruising, it looks cool. Well, you got to turn, you got to air it all the way up to clear those 24s, and it's just. Everything that they do now with these chassis, it's like, man, it's a huge investment, but that's probably the next step that I would need to do as a car owner. I don't know, custom car owner, custom truck owner, is go to a chassis, and there's so many options out there.
Yeah,
so
big time.
it's cool.
Yeah, no, I think that's really cool how you still have those and still like have more plans for them, and it's just it's just really cool. I like it. It's cool.
Yeah, chain reaction is probably one that I would never let go. I've had a lot of people ask about it. Well, I don't want to say a lot. I've had a couple people ask. I've had people from overseas ask about it, and if I wanted to sell it, and no.
It's also weird. Like if you sold that truck, you couldn't get the top dollar for it because it is cut the way it is.
Yeah,
Like,
it's dated. It's
so if
very
you
dated.
put 20, 30 grand into it, that you would return, that money would return.
Yeah.
Because now it's that same cool truck, but it's also a little bit more modern on the underneath. Because people now expect when you're buying a C10, you expect it to drive good.
Oh yeah.
There's no reason why it shouldn't drive. Good.
Right.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
that's the other side of it. Yeah, I was saying like I was bragging that this truck predates all of this stuff, but that is the other side.
There
of
was
it.
there was no kits. Other like Jason had just developed that one, and that was probably like one of the first ones that I'm aware of.
Yeah, because then Porterbuilt was
He was up there. Yeah, he was probably
he was-
right behind him.
Yeah.
Or at the same time. I don't want to.
so that truck also was at one of the first Dino's get downs.
at the first official away from the house
Yes.
at the shop.
Yeah.
So
Oh
that-
yeah, I remember
that-
seeing a photo of that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was and that's how I had met Dino, and he had come over and looked at it. He came to my house, and he was like, "Oh," I was like, "Oh shit."
Dino is like a true Chevy truck lover. Right?
He is through and through
doesn't
Chevy
do it
guy.
for doesn't do it for popularity.
No.
Doesn't do it. He just loves
Yeah,
trucks.
If the C10 market or the trend, if you want to call it a trend, went away, that dude would still be building and cruising and the same style trucks. And he has so many different ones. It's like
Yeah.
he's had square bodies. Obviously, I don't think square bodies are his favorite.
Yeah.
He's more of a '60s guy. He's always been like I've had a 66 that I bought, and I sent him some pictures. What do you think? He's like, "Oh yeah, that's pretty good. That's a good deal.
Yeah.
Cool." He's always my go-to guy and stuff like that.
And a lot of people could thank him for the amount of money some businesses have made can be. There's probably a direct link. Yeah, you.
Yeah, this brand is because of him.
Yeah. So
it's-
you can draw a direct line back to him and big companies
oh yeah,
some of these chassis companies.
oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been such a he was, I know he's worked with many companies, and he is always willing to give up one of his trucks. For somebody to ask that, like, "Hey man, can we take your truck and try to develop this?" That's like a big thing. It's cool, but then you're like, "Oh, man, they're testing stuff out."
Yeah.
And there's been, there's always a good and bad side to that. There's going to be bugs and issues and stuff, but he was always a guy that always had extra trucks. Well, I don't want to say extra trucks, but he had multiple vehicles.
He had a lot of them.
He can, let one go for a couple weeks or a month or whatever. So,
What year was that your truck was there? Was that 14?
no, it
15?
was, anywhere from 2011 to
Oh, okay.
13. I don't know. It's in there. It's a blur.
So
Yeah.
now fast forward a little bit to C10 Vatos.
yeah.
You just said that one day, and you're like, we should just start this, right?
Yeah,
Like,
we were actually Dino's 2015, so it was November, and it was at the shop. It was still at the shop. It's starting to get bigger and bigger and bigger.
I think that's the first year I did a video,
Yeah,
but I wasn't.
That was at the appliance shop, right?
at the
yeah.
point. Yeah,
Yeah.
Didn't have a booth or anything. Just went there, heard
Just
about
filmed,
this, and
yeah.
just filmed it.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people were showing up to it, even non C10 guys, because it's a big event. And the only thing that was going on that weekend, it was the Good Guys show.
Yep.
And then Dino's was like Friday.
Yeah.
So it was like, I'm getting out of work at 1.
Yeah. It was the
Like,
Friday
I
night
didn't-
get together before Good Guys.
Yeah, and then it was one of those things like, I'm taking the day off, And but 2015, I was there just hanging out, and there's a big banner, and it was like Dino's Get Down in 2015, and had all the names. There's a lot of companies prior to me. This is there's a whole list of names, and I was like, oh man, and I just looked at it, and I was like, you know what you need? You need C10 Vatos. And he turns to me, and he's like, you need to do that. That's real catchy. And he's like, and we're just standing there looking at the banner. He's like, yeah, you need to do that. And I was like, he goes, I like that. And I was like, all right. And I just kind of walked away, and he's a busy guy, and I was sitting there, I was like, man, I already had Instagram, and I had already built up from my private page. I think I'd built up to about 10,000 followers.
Oh wow, just on your personal page.
Yeah, on my personal page, because I've been going to SEMA for 20 years, and I had like one of the old school digital cameras, and it was like a Kodak, and it was like a big box, and just had a ton of pictures, and I was just kind of going through a lot of my old computer and loading stuff, and it was just me like putting cool stuff up there, and so I started the page right there, and
So you changed your personal page?
actually I opened a whole new page.
Oh wow,
Oh,
okay.
okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I had actually, right prior to that, I had lost my page. Like, I had gotten hacked, and I was like, so I had kind of lost it. So I was kind of like, like, what am I going to do? And then so I was like, oh, C10 Vatos, I'll start that. And there's a couple of pictures I kind of posted, and it just, over just time, it just kind of took off.
Yeah.
I kind of started doing the same thing, and eventually people started asking for shirts and hats, and then
So what was your first Who designed that?
Who designed that, and who is that?
This is probably, I would say, more of like John Schick. John Schick was originally one of the my buddy that lives out in Cathedral City,
Palm Springs area,
Coachella area, and he kind of became a part of it, and he had a guy out there, one of his buddies designed this, and then I was like, this is cool, man. Yeah, so it's like. I had some money and I was like, okay, let's, you should do some hats and shirts and just start, you kind of ease into it, but it's big. It's an expense.
Oh yeah.
It's very expensive. People are like, oh man, you got all these cars and all that. And I'm like, yeah, most of my money didn't come from C10 Vatos. I worked at the same job for 26 years and starting a brand is a huge commitment and it's very expensive and getting artists, if you want cool art and stuff, and you have to use different artists too because you want stuff to look different.
Yeah. So where did you think, like, obviously that started, and then was LST like your first thing, or what was your first booth setup, or when did you kind of realize like I'm gonna turn this into something more?
Yeah, I want to say that we kind of did that little table at Dino's, and that might have been that November prior to LST, because that you ever Dino
16,
probably like 16,
and then
yeah.
17.
When would you say is the official start? When did that conversation go down with Dino? That was like 15.
2015. It was November
15.
2015.
Okay.
Yeah.
So by 16, you had already
started getting
really
some
rolling.
stuff going, and then adding more designs and totes and this and that, and started to go shows, and we started making LST like a regular thing. I mean, we were going, it's like, LST, yes, let's go. Because we were just right. I was right in that wave where I was just kind of like every year, and I was adding more shirts, and it was just it peaked.
If we could, I wonder if we have photos of each year from when we went. So the year,
I'm sure,
when me and Joe shared the 10x10.
That was 17 actually.
My brother and I.
That was 17.
That was 17.
That was 17.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And your brother helped sell my stuff because I was out filming.
Mm-hmm.
And then. And then now to the most recent is just like 3 10x20.
The mega booth.
It's
mega
crazy.
booth.
We got out of control.
Yeah.
I'm out of control.
Well, it was funny because Joe's like this little thing, and then he just passed both of us.
Yeah,
me and Frank always look down at Joe, and his booth is just popping, and we're just like, all right.
A lot of it's probably Texas. My demographics in Texas has always been like the crazy supporters and just awesome people. You know, and I think I had a lot of it's having the Latino connection with a lot of people. There wasn't really a brand for the C10 guys for the Latino community.
Yeah.
And not saying that we need to have our own thing, but
the Latino community in the C10 world is huge.
But also not only that, but Vato, like, you don't have to be like Hispanic.
No.
Like anybody, like any.
That's the best part about it is it did cross over.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I mean, and it's crazy because I've literally shipped shirts all over the world. I've had when the Provost guys went to the Moon Eye show in Japan. They messaged me and they're like, "Hey, like I just spotted this over here, and there's some guy just wearing one of our Amigo shirts," and I'm like, I have no idea who that is.
Yeah.
And it was cool. Like it was like at the beginning, and I still to this day I still get excited when people send me shirts and they're like in some far off place and on vacation and they're rocking a shirt. And I'm like, oh dude, that's cool.
In London when the Queen
passed.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I literally, a guy was like, he just happened to be there and sends me a picture, and I'm like,
that's crazy.
That's wild. You know, it's cool. And Australia, New Zealand, Japan. I sent something to I don't want to say Russia, but like in those, and I've sent stuff to Dubai.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So yeah, it's cool. Vato, and I think a lot of people, it translates. People that know, if you grew up near, I mean, everybody had a Latino friend. They knew what Vato, and I've had people like, what does that mean? I was just like, it's a slang word for like dude or guy or kind of like a friend.
Yeah.
Or have you ever seen the movie Blood In, Blood Out?
Yeah.
Vatos Locos.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Crazy Vato.
Yeah.
I had that guy in Mississippi once. I took a couple of your shirts to sell, and this guy came up and he's like, "No, I'm in Biloxi, Mississippi, right? Deep." And he's like, what's a Vato? You're a Vato.
You're a Vato.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it was pretty.
That's
funny.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's cool.
I've had a couple people ask about that. They most of the time I think they've heard the word and then they really want to know the meaning of it.
Yeah.
And I said it's not anything vulgar. It's not anything disrespectful. It's just a slang word. It just had that ring. It just caught on and it just took off.
Yeah, C10 Vatos. Yeah, it does have a great ring to it. And then when you marry it to that logo, like you already kind of subconsciously know what's going on.
Yeah.
Like I mean, if you don't know anything about trucks, you don't know what C10 means. But if you're kind of loosely connected to the scene, you can C10, you know what a C10 is, and you've maybe heard of Vato before, but if you recollect it, that image ties it immediately together. You know what I mean? So it's like this perfect, that logo is like this perfect mixture of explaining.
Branding is very important. It's always been, I kind of took that also, like when I took over Severed in the Southwest, I made a brand, I made a logo for the show because I wanted something to be
Recognizable.
recognized, that people know, maybe not even so much like, oh yeah, that's that show, so that was to me, that was important. I always felt that big companies always have a logo.
Yeah.
So,
we talked about that with Seth, and me and Frank talk about
Yeah,
it all the time
that's
because
like a really big theme of this podcast is about talking about branding.
I have a very tough time with my brand because like Custom Life can be anything.
Oh yeah.
C10 Vatos, like it's a C10 and it's just a cool Grinder TV. You don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Right. You're just like, what? I don't know what that is. Is it an app that I've read?
Did you ever talk about the older gentleman when we were up in C10s in the park? I don't know if we could talk about.
I don't think we can say the words that he said, but it's definitely
I think he did tell me about this.
It's definitely like because I started Grinder magazine in like 2006, so like that's obviously has its own meaning and it means a ton of things, and then the app came out and kind of.
But you know what's funny is like we say that, we kind of joke about it, but I notice that like when we're at shows and you're like selling merch, the Grinder TV full logo to like a Stay Low or a GTV is pretty high. Yeah. Like even though there's maybe this connotation to it that we kind of like,
it's more of a joke than anything.
It's more of a joke.
And again, like it bothered me for a minute, but then I was like, you know what? It doesn't matter.
I mean,
so like, but this just goes back to like like if you were to put up a Custom Life shirt, like Grinder TV would be the one you'd be like, what is that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean they have to know you,
and they have to know the videos.
They have to know the videos, and I think a majority of the people, I would say, in the scene know or heard of you. And it's always like when I say like, oh yeah, Brian, Brian from Grinder. I don't know why I always say it like that. I don't say Brian Good. I said, oh, Brian from Grinder. Actually, I brought your name up today, trying to get working on something else.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh yeah, it's like everybody knows you, Brian from Grinder, So
that goes back to like just the constant uploads and like creating content and all that stuff. Like it's a constant grind.
Oh yeah,
and you do that with your brand,
which is why like I'm sorry, I don't.
No, go ahead.
But like that's why I like really liked how we started this conversation as you, Joe, as a Severtized mini trucker, and then talking about C10 Vatos, because I think a lot of people just know Joe C10 Vatos Joe, so it's kind of neat to.
I would say probably the people in the C10 world probably know me more as just C10 Joe or C10 Vatos.
Or some people don't know you at all.
So yeah,
because you didn't put a face to
I didn't. So I didn't.
That's
I
true.
didn't tell anybody I was C10 Vatos or I was doing that. I wanted it to be in my head. I kind of had this talk with myself, and I was like, I want this to be really organic, and I want people to really like it because of what it is, and just like the entertainment factor, and not follow it because it's Joe. Oh, this is something Joe's doing. Yeah. I've known Joe for 15 years. I'm gonna follow.
You didn't want to use Severed as like a like a boost.
I never even brought it up, and I never even brought it up to Brett. Brett's probably like one of my closest friends that we talk quite a bit about stuff that we don't talk to other people about. And he was like, why didn't you tell me? I think he was maybe a little bit hurt, and I just told him, I didn't tell anybody. I did this I wanted it to be like okay, this is cool. This is fun.
Yeah.
I'm like it. Organic. Yeah. I didn't want to be like other people where they start something or they're like, I'm going to do this now. And then they go to their club page and be like, I just started this.
Yeah.
Go follow it. And, instantly you get whatever, 300-400 followers,
Yeah.
I wanted it to be like, okay, like in my head of like, if this like really goes somewhere before people know it's me, then I'm doing something right or doing something entertaining.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. My page is more of a lifestyle entertainment page.
So talk about that. So you're building C10 Vatos, a brand, creating merchandise, going to shows, and then there's the Instagram page.
Yeah.
And it's almost like two different beasts, kind of. So you're
is.
building this Instagram page. At what point? So like you start like. Obviously, you probably started with like trucks and stuff.
Yeah.
At what point did it start shifting into something else? Like what is that journey like?
Honestly, there's a lot of people that do this and do it way better than me. Better photographers, better video people that get to travel a lot more than me, have a lot more free time. I don't know if you noticed, there's dozens and dozens and hundreds of C10 pages, truck pages.
Right. Well, yeah.
Every day there's a new one, and I get messages says, "Hey man, can you give me a shout out?" I'm like, nobody gave me a shout out.
Yeah.
So, I had to provide something a little bit different and a little more entertaining. So obviously the main feed is always going to be truck related. My Friday post is kind of like a feel good Friday post. The dancing or something funny, or if I'm just in a mood and I see something hilarious, I got to post it, or something entertaining, I'll post it, but the storylines kind of just took this wild turn.
Sorry, my stomach growled all
Do we
super
need to
loud.
pause for pizza?
No. I'm fine.
So the storyline kind of took, it's where I kind of thought, I was like, I think I'm going to do something a little bit different.
Yeah.
here.
When did you post your first thing, and did you see like some traction on it, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna post another thing?
Yeah, obviously, because when you do a professional page, you can see everything, and you see the demographics and people and stuff, and all of a sudden I just started seeing like the numbers in women followers kind of go up, and I was like, oh,
Really?
that's weird. Yeah,
Oh, that's interesting.
And I've had a lot of just random people. I don't want to say random people that you would not, are not even into trucks, and they're like, I come to your page for your storyline, and like hairdressers, and I look and like, what does this person do? She's a hairdresser, and this is a mom. Or like I've had guys, oh, my wife loves your storyline. She don't care about trucks, but she's in the storylines and stuff like that.
I think it's because your storyline, and we follow this kind of same rule of thumb, is non-controversial. It's you don't post things that people can get upset one way about. It's just fun. It's positive. It's funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
you get a little bit of everything. It's kind of like I don't want to say I patterned it, but kind of like FHM, like those magazines from like the 2000s, Maxim. You get a little bit of everything. Or even like when people used to say, older generation, I read Playboy for the article. I mean,
I watch C10 Vatos for the stories.
Yeah. So, I just wanted it, like I said, that there's tons of other pages, bigger pages than me, and there are always going to be better pages than mine. I just wanted to provide something that I thought I enjoyed, because everything that I put up there, I enjoy. I enjoy a lot of airplanes and stuff like that, and travel. And, then I've gotten older, I kind of,
when you say that, I can always tell when you're like in one thing, you know what I mean? Like you're like the airplane thing, or you're like into, you can just tell like, oh, Joe's like really into like skydiving right now, because there's so many skydiving.
And then some of the stuff that those guys do, it's, a lot of the Red Bull content is just amazing. It's crazy. And lately Morgan and I have been watching a lot of world traveling, like overlanding.
Okay.
I don't know.
You should build a overland C10.
Oh my God, that'd be awesome.
Overland
You've been
C10.
wanting to do a 4-wheel drive one, right? Like,
A 4-wheel drive is in our books to do one. We're actually going to probably do like a 4-wheel drive Suburban. So we have a 2-wheel drive Suburban that we just purchased earlier this year. It was actually a gift from Mrs. C10 Vatos. So
there you go.
birthday
That's
gift.
cool.
So, but she's, we've been watching a lot of overlay. We watched this couple that's traveled from Canada down. They're going all the way to South America, and I think I told you about a little Toyota with the camper on it. And I'm like, these guys are like the ultimate mini truckers.
Yeah.
Like really, when you think about it, they're driving a mini truck. Like I can't remember. That's like an 18-month journey. That they're
Wow,
doing this
that's
time.
cool.
Yeah, living
That's
in
really
it and stuff. So.
Yeah. Utilizing we hit this with Seth a little bit. You get a mini truck or a truck because one, it's cheap, and it's very utilitarian.
Yeah.
Like everyone needs a truck.
Yeah.
So when you're a kid, you can throw your bikes in there. You can throw your surfboards in there. You can throw your skateboards, your buddies, depending on where you live.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like whatever. It's just so useful.
Yeah.
And they're using it for traveling.
It's amazing. Yeah. It's enlightening. I think I've probably gotten to a time in my life where I want to try different things. Not saying I'm going to go live in a mini truck and drive across the world, but
Why'd you get a 4-wheel drive 720?
yeah,
That's so weird.
yeah, it's got a camera on it. I don't know, but it's just we've done everything that we've done and all the shows. Sometimes you kind of want something different.
Yeah.
So, I have my Cadillac that's a club vehicle, and I have 4 other trucks that are not club vehicles because they're not like to the
They're
standard.
different,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're not to the standards of my club. So, which is not a problem. And I mean, and they still get a lot of recognition. And we've Brian shot my blue and white one for a feature, and that was cool. And we continue to work on that stuff, but probably not to the standards of a club vehicle.
Yeah. But that's an interesting topic because there are people out there like in clubs that have also vehicles that are cool,
Yeah.
but they are not like that bagged and body
Yeah,
and
yeah.
whatever. So do you put logos on those? Do you not? Do you
Right.
put a little FFF or whatever your little
Yeah.
acronym for your club on there, or do you not do that? It's kind of a
Yeah, and especially like a really good example of that is Rob. Rob just likes driving different things all the time. Like we were talking about his Nissan a couple episodes ago about lifting it and stuff, and that's what he's into right now. And before that, he had like a little Hyundai that was all raced out and stuff. And so yeah, you're right. You're like you have people who have a lot of different vehicle tastes. Maybe they don't have a lot of different vehicles at
want to
the same
experience different
time.
things.
Yeah.
But they're still part of the club and they're still doing club stuff.
But, you can see the trend over the last couple of years. Probably even vehicles that you've shot for magazines. A lot of static drop. Maybe not just old school static drop, but like coils, over.
yeah.
I mean, a lot of these companies, I think all of them are building coil over chassis, and it's kind of becoming that thing where you want that deep drop, and still you want it to drive nice. You want to have the rack and pinion. You want to have all that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, a lot of people like to airbag a truck properly is not cheap.
Oh no.
You can do it and make it drivable daily
Yeah.
without leaks and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it takes patience and it takes money to go to the right builder
Yeah.
and all that stuff. And a lot of people were just
The right parts.
and the right parts. So, but a lot of people are just like, I don't want to deal with that. I just want a static drop truck that I can race around town in. Like I can get on the freeway, stomp on it, not worry about anything, and then just kind of like take it up the canyons and all that stuff.
Everybody, I mean, the big trend is, and we have a lot of big builders here in town. They want that sport truck, real like sports car feel. Rack and pinion, huge 14-inch, 15-inch brakes.
They're buying these
hidden
things
corners.
instead of vets. and
Don
Porsches.
Hardy's
yeah.
600-700 horsepower engines,
Yeah.
plus 1,000 horsepower.
Yeah.
And they want to, a lot of these guys have owned vets and owned supercars, and they want that feel.
Or
in that
their
truck.
their midlife crisis is that truck.
Is that truck? Yeah,
Yeah.
they have a Corvette. That's no fun. We want to have this very expensive, top of the line truck.
Yeah. And go to truck shows with my buddies.
Yeah, do truck
Sit
guy
in-
stuff.
Sit in folding chairs.
Yeah,
But back to your Instagram, like how many Instagram followers are you at right now?
over 150, 153, something like that.
So that I'm
Tell
wondering
us what success feels like.
No, I know. Well, actually, no. That was gonna be my question was like, at what point do you at what point are you building this page, getting followers? At what point do you go like, this is something else now? Like now maybe you're getting approached by companies and like to give you stuff. Like like what when did you notice that?
100,000.
100,000?
Probably 50 to 100. And I feel it's funny. Even just today, I had a company reach out to me. just kind of caught me off guard, and it's a big engine builder, and he's like, "Oh man, I love your page," and I kind of had asked some questions about a product, and he goes, "Oh man, I can help you out," and I was like, "Oh wow," and he goes, "I love your page, man, it's super entertaining, this is cool."
That was a little bit of your motivation for that.
That was my motivation in my head, or my thoughts was, I'm probably always going to have some sort of custom vehicle. Maybe not a club worthy vehicle, but I'm always going to, I love C10s. I do. I have such a, I see them. I see a stock one. I get all, Morgan, now I got her, she has her own C10 and she's driving down the freeway and she'll see another one. And
that's
like,
cool.
This person, so it's kind of, that was my motivation. Okay. So go back to, one of the motivations was to start the brand was to get in with companies, obviously, or
create relationships.
Yeah. Relationships, partnerships, in which I've built some great ones, and I've ended up with, I would say, really good friends and people that, over the last couple of months have really reached out to me just to check on me, not to talk about cars and other stuff, and just to see how I'm doing, and during 2020, that everybody was kind of in a funk, and I think I used to get a lot of like, man, I ain't doing nothing. I'm just kind of sitting at home, and your storyline just and I hit it hard in 2020, and it was like all over the place. I mean, there would be days that are probably like 100 posts and just storylines and stuff. So it's just if somebody, and honestly, when people, I like when people come and buy my product at a booth. It's a good feeling. I get a little more excited when they go, I love your page.
That's cool.
Like,
well, because that's your page is you. Like you don't have anybody else working on it. That's all you.
Yeah, it's all me. Some days I start at about 3:30 in the morning and I start looking for content, or I go through the content that people send me. I have a lot of people that do send me, and some people would surprise you that send me content, and it's really cool. And I've had people tell me, well, this is something I couldn't post, but I think it would go good.
So cool.
Yeah, so it's everything from influencers like that have like 5 million followers to kind of famous sports people, and stuff.
Oh, really? They hit you up and stuff?
Yeah,
Wow.
they'll send me stuff, and constantly we're sending each other stuff, and so it's fun,
That's a thing when you get your social media up to a certain followers, you're in a different club now.
Yeah.
Like you're in a different bracket.
And that's what I was kind of like, asking. It's like when, like at some point you're like, oh, wow, this is different. This is like, this is some other space.
Yeah. Like at 100,000, I think I gave away a set of wheels. I've done a couple giveaways, at 100,000, I had my friends over at US Mags give me a set of wheels. And, obviously cross promotion. I didn't charge. I didn't do anything. We kind of went. I think you might have helped us kind of whittle it down. And it was kind of like follow us and follow this page and repost this. And I think, Brian, you might have helped us kind of pick out a handful of people. And we give away a set of wheels and stuff. So, and, it
feels good when
it feels good.
It's a good feeling that you can, it's not only that you could get stuff, for cross promotion, but to also give it away.
Yeah. It's cool. Yeah.
It's like when we give our stuff away. It's like a cool feeling.
No, it is. Yeah.
It's like you have this really neat thing, and when someone wins it, you just feel like really good. Like
it's almost like you're sharing in in everything.
And I don't buy anything because if I do win, it's like the people are gonna be like, it's rigged. That guy's always with them. I see them in the videos. No, I'm just like looking. I'm like, I'd like some new audio stuff. I saw that giveaway you guys did.
Yeah, I want to do some more audio stuff, man. I think audio stuff is always.
I'm gonna get Morgan to buy stuff. I'm gonna buy stuff under Morgan's name. So, but
you just see the names come. We're like, these are sympathy buys. They get the T-shirts. And
I know. They're just like,
they're like, don't even send the shirt.
Yeah, I know, right? I just want to help you guys out.
Just put me in the raffle.
So. Here's $25 for 5 entries.
So, the other good thing is, like I said, giving away stuff. We've also, the last couple of years, we've done some charity stuff where we raise money.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff we buy, or we work with like Travis at AZ Pro Performance and gives me like a smoking deal on a brake kit. We've done, I think, 2 brake kits, and that's huge. I mean, if you're a C10 guy, you're building a C10, everybody wants those big brakes, and those.
That's a huge expense.
It's a huge expense. Huge.
Yeah.
And Travis, man, he's also a great guy here in Arizona, has a big company. And, I kind of reached out to him. Hey, man, I want to do this. I donate the money. I can prove it to you. And he's like, I don't care about that. He goes, I trust you. And he, it was pretty much gave me wholesale or cost. I don't know what it was. Gave me a smoking deal. I still paid for it and raised a bunch of money. And he took care of the shipping and got what the customer or the guy that won. Yeah. So that's always kind of nice that we can go a little bit extra and help out, where we can, when we can. So,
yeah, Travis is a great dude. He doesn't manufacture, so he's there, but he will give you that smoking deal on that.
Yeah.
And,
the brake kit was his. It's their design, but obviously
their design. Yeah. No, he doesn't build it in house, so he still has a cost.
Yeah, of course.
Like if you're giving away like I don't know, like Seth making the
tubs.
The tubs, like he made those there, so he's only out like a labor and a piece of metal.
Yeah.
Where Travis is like he has to buy that. So.
Yeah. So I knew
and trust is such a, like you said, that it's like you built up like good credit.
Yeah. Yeah. And and I've had people like, did you really donate the money? Man, I'll send you the PayPal. We work
those people are just they're just
that's
miserable.
rude.
They're the people that are just fishing for a reaction for something.
I don't know, man. If someone asked me that, I'd be like, that's a really rude question.
Yeah.
You're like, that's no. I bought more brakes for my seat.
Yeah. I bought this Overlander.
Yeah, that's funny.
Square body. So, no, I mean, and I think there's always going to be the people. How do I know you're really donating this? Well, you
don't.
You don't. So either you don't have to buy it. I'm not forcing you.
Yeah,
to
exactly.
Buy it,
You don't have to participate.
You don't have to participate and buy the sticker.
Yeah.
You're buying the sticker to get a chance to win. Whatever the gift or the prize is.
You're essentially and you're also, it's a charity too.
Yeah.
Like you're doing.
Yeah, and I still got to pay for the parts. So technically, I look at it in my head. I can give away this much money, or I can buy this product and give away this much money.
Yeah.
So I'm still out that the expense of the prize.
Yeah.
Which, but yeah,
it's been a few $1,000s, right? Like
we've had years where we've raised like $3,000, something like that. Cool. So yeah, and we spread it. We spread it around. We work with a couple foundations here in town and stuff. So
that's awesome.
I keep it local. I'm honest with them. I get guys like, oh, I'm out in Texas. Can I buy? I'm like, well, you can, but I'm being honest with you. All the money's staying here. I'm not sending it to Texas.
Yeah.
I'd like to get to the point where we can go to a show and do something at a show in Texas.
Yeah.
And I can donate
keep some of that. Keep some of that local money local.
Yeah. Help out somebody out there. Maybe I'll work up to that. But it's a lot of work between running the booth and setting up a booth and then trying to track this, and you're trying to.
Yeah. So that's my next kind of thing is like the booths. We kind of touched on it. Traveling together, setting up the booth, learning from each other.
Yeah.
Sitting there watching the other guy and going, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Watching Frank, us just watching Frank.
Yeah.
Me. Actually, let me clarify. Us watching Angie tell Frank what to do.
Yes. That is very, yes. Let's get that clear.
Yeah. So, no, it's watching you guys definitely has helped. And
watching
even
and other people too.
And other people. And Lindsay also. Lindsay's been a big
great.
part. She has a lot of great ideas.
That's the LST crew.
Yeah, no, for sure. And watching, and I sit back and I just see people, and I'm like, oh man, it'd be cool to have a big retail trailer. Lonnie and Radar just got that big
baller one. Did you see that one?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Oh,
what's it like to have that kind of money? Just garage gear money, just
garage gear money.
Yeah. What the heck, man?
Yeah, I just want to go hang out there.
Just observe, like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah,
you'll see it at Dino's when you'll feel extra poor.
Yeah.
Oh, they're gonna
be like, oh, that's nice.
That's cool.
Yeah.
They're like, Morgan's like, did you see it? And I was like, I didn't see it. I don't really go on.
Yeah.
Outside of Instagram, I don't really go to Facebook much, but she'll like, oh my God. I was like, oh, it's just that.
But even so, money. Like, that's a really cool thing about all of us, like C10 Vatos, Custom Life, Grand TV, Pretty Low, Garage Gear. You would think that all of these companies would exist to like compete against each other, but all we really exist to do is like help each other out, be there, be supportive, hang out, say hi. Like it's like hanging out with your friends, that you don't see too often. I remember I forgot who I was talking to. I was talking to this person kind of explaining what I do, which is kind of hard to explain to begin with. But, I get to the point where I'm like, well, I traveled all over the country to these different car shows. We set up booths and we sell T-shirts. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I said, yeah, usually I have my buddy with me. We travel together and we do these things. And he's like, well, what does he do? And they go, well, he sets up booths and sells T-shirts and makes videos. And they're like, it's kind of hard for someone to understand at first. Like, they're like, wait a minute, how are you guys doing the exact same thing and not like, you guys are like competing against each other, but it's like, not really, and it ends up being like this really, cool, like we have this whole community, like this vendor community. Yeah. And like, just recently when we were in Maggie Valley, we were posted up next to the Body Drop guys. And so like I really hadn't hung out with them before. I really didn't know them. They helped us out when our booth got destroyed.
They're cool. Yeah, they're cool
they're super cool dudes. Like they helped us out. And then like, like I said, I'd never really hung out with them before, but I got to know them at that show. And now they're part of our community. So now when I
Drop Clothing. Yeah.
Yeah, Body Drop Clothing. And
super down. They drove those trucks and stuff to all these shows.
Yeah. So I'm just saying that like our little community grows. Like when someone comes in, like a new vendor or a brand or something, it's not like,
you kind of feel them out a little bit.
Well, yeah.
It's always like, hey, who's the new guy?
Yeah.
And every year there's a new guy, and that's why like when like those clothing companies reach out to me and it's like, hey man, give me a shout out. I'm like, man,
and it's nothing. It's not like, well, I didn't get a shout out, so I'm not it's not vindictive, but it's more like, hey man,
you need to earn it
better.
Yeah.
You will do better if you just figure it out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Like if you want some advice, I'll give you some advice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Don't do it. Don't get into this game. It's
that's the thing. I wouldn't say like
spirals out of control.
Yeah, I wouldn't say don't do it, but it's definitely like, I'm not going to say it's difficult because it's not. It's just you got to be really got to be involved in it.
You have to manage it. Joe, I don't want to say Joe spiraled out of control, but watching Joe's booth grow and then watching him work it and watching him set up all these T-shirts, and I'm just like, you have a lot of designs.
Yeah,
like you are on the verge of like needing either more space, or like more people, or like something. There's something like.
I mean, our staff at Dino's last year was
when you
myself.
said he has staff.
Yeah.
You like that?
Yeah. Well, eventually you need to be like back when Trey and Chris who owned KIK.
Yeah.
It would just be like just Trey hanging out in the front, just hanging out with people.
And I to this day I still like, man, I can't wait to be like that. That's my goal. It was cool because that was when I saw them. It was, I mean, when I first started my brand, and they were kind of near us, and I would see them, and they had the big trailer, and I'm like, man, he just gets to hang out and drink beers and just meet people. And I was like, I want to get to that point. It's difficult. It's hard. It's
especially with the weather.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, that's the other thing.
LST has given us some not problems, but it's definitely we've had to.
It's been trying.
Yeah, because that was it. What year was it that rained and we got the wood?
19. That was 19.
Was that 19?
19 was yeah.
It was 19.
Eight. I would say 18 or 19. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
Because we had a couple of years. I think we had 2 years where it was muddy. Maybe it didn't rain, but like we were.
It always there's always a weather event.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But that one where we had to like. We got there and we had to figure it out. Mm-hmm. We're like, because we rolled up and they're like, this is your booth spot. And it was in, there was
all
a
mud.
Lake.
Yeah.
And we're like, what about down there? And they're like, you can go down there. And we're like, okay, now it was Thursday night. And we're like, hey, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
We bought tarps and we bought wood.
Yeah.
And we like made it work.
Yeah.
And it was fine.
Yeah. And we survived.
We like but Sunday we had to tear down because Sunday was just a wasted day. It was so.
Oh yeah.
It was raining a bad.
But then 2022 was the year, man. That was the year.
That was the cold year.
That was the year that I saw Joe.
We almost died.
Almost leave.
Oh, I was ready to leave.
Joe's he was broke. It broke him. Like
it broke all of us.
Yeah, it did. But you were ready to go.
I was done.
You guys were sitting in the truck. I was still out there, like trying to I got to try to sell something so I can. Recoup some of this.
I was like, no, I'm not making no money. Yeah. Later, I will you guys want to go? I'm down to go. Let's go right now. Again, this is not a knock on LST, but it was cold. It was wet. It was muddy in our booth. We could have done more about it. Like we could have been more proactive. I was upset also because I wasn't prepared clothes wise.
Mm-hmm.
I was freezing on Friday, and the rain boots wouldn't get over my fat old ankles, so I couldn't even go out there because I would destroy my shoes and get wet.
And during that time, it was so funny because it broke us each at different spots. Like it was you Friday sitting in the truck, just done, and me and I think Angie was in there too.
So she was. You were out there.
I was out there. I was
all like everything's fine.
Yeah, well, no, this is okay. This is all right. This is fine. And then I think Saturday, or I forget when my time was, but there was my time when I was just like broken, and you were fine.
Joe's was Sunday. He was done. He's like, I'm out.
Yeah,
there was. Sunday when the weather was good, but Joe's booth was just a mud pit.
It was it was bad.
It was sunny, but Joe still had to wear boots, like rain boots. Yeah. And he's just like, I'm out. I'm going home.
Yeah. There's nothing you could do at that point, like
it's part of the process.
It is. It was probably good for me to feel that because I had just been like I'd been going up that big climb, and it was probably good. That was just
your punch in the face.
Punch me and just okay. So it's not always going to be like this, Joe. There's going to be bad ones with good ones.
It is a gamble. It is.
It is. Anytime we're outside, like you're in the elements. Every time you go to a show.
Was that the year? That wasn't the year. The year me and you went, and we were like an hour or two before Fort Stockton.
Oh yeah. That was 9 no, that was 18.
So 18.
That was 18.
We were like, what if it rains? We don't make any money, and like it's set in that we could lose a lot of money. Mm-hmm. We never thought about it because most of the shows we go to, we were fine. Mm-hmm. And this one though, the weather, where there was forecast weather, I don't know what it was, but we were just like. And we got quiet for like an hour in the truck, and we started rethinking this whole thing.
Okay, I'm gonna clarify. Those were both 18. It was both 18 because it wasn't because like I remember it distinctly because that was the one year that we had Joe, you, but I was this way.
Yes,
remember I was on that corner and I was this way, and we kind of made like an L. And Chupas was with us. That was the same time. Yep. And so that was 18. And I can't remember what happened in 19. I think 19 was fine. I think 19 was one of those up years.
Yep.
And everything was cool. Yep. But that was all 18.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And 2020.
We were there 2020. We were there. We did 2020. Everything when we got home is when everything said, this is out of control and lockdown.
Well, it didn't lock down until middle of March because I was back there. I was in Alabama the night that everything locked down.
Yeah.
At Orange Beach Invasion.
Yeah.
So like LST they were perfect. They were right before it happened, and then 2021 they were like right as it eased back up. Mm-hmm. They never skipped a beat.
Yeah.
They were like they missed it.
It felt just perfect.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've always said that
anything
LST
in March, like we were in March at the end of March, so we were screwed. Mm-hmm. But
and Texas is probably a little more liberal than what I mean, not liberal. But,
not liberal.
That was a wrong choice of words.
Yeah, more. Well, they definitely laxed their.
They were more lax.
They laxed their stuff earlier than other states.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
that's what I meant.
It was definitely that. But yeah, everything was trying. Everything is trying. So if you're out there and you think that so many people see videos, YouTube pages, or Instagram pages, or booths, or clothes. Like, I'm just going to make a brand and it's going to be easy.
Mm-hmm.
They see all the highlights because that's what we show them. We show them the highlights.
Well, that's social media. Yeah.
I remember when I made my video for that year, I talked about how I was miserable. And I remember Lonnie, he was like, when's your LST video coming out? And I was like, I'm going to put tomorrow. He's like, oh, cool. And he posts, he's like, Grinder TV's video drops tomorrow. And I was like, oh, you're not going to like this one. Yeah. And like afterwards he goes, he just sent me, he's like, oh my God. And then he didn't talk to me for 3 days.
And I remember it's kind of become a joke with him.
Yeah.
Now it is. And I know where he's at. Last
Your
year.
show got rained out.
Yeah. Last year, 2022, December.
Yep.
The first time in, I can't remember how many years. We had 1 year, we had some sprinkles and then it cleared up. But we got rained out. I mean, poured starting at 11:15 a.m.
Yep.
And what people don't understand, I mean, I'm on a lot smaller scale than them. Mm-hmm. They have to push through. To have a show is a huge investment. You have staff, you have artwork, you have shirts, merchandise you have to sell. He's got all the cops or the sheriffs that are out there. You got to pay for all that. All the dumpsters, the cleanup. I mean, I can't imagine what their overhead, the porta potties when the bathrooms break and stuff.
And I would say 90% of your people were within an hour or two.
Oh,
so you could be like, hey, the show's early, and they're like, hey, no problem. LST, you're just like, they're like, bro, I drove
18 hours.
Yeah.
We drive 18 hours to get there, more or less.
So yeah, it is definitely different.
I messaged him. I literally left after we were done. We had cleaned up, and I was home by 2:00 that day, and that's never happened. And I think I stopped and I pulled over and I messaged him. I said, man, I want to apologize. I know how you feel. I felt bad about giving him a hard time. Like, not so much giving him a hard time, but it kind of like, hashtag thanks, Lonnie, or control the weather, or whatever. Whatever we were doing, just to rub it in. I apologize. Sorry, man. I don't know how you feel now. And that was a bad kick to me because I was like, man, do I really want to continue to do this?
Yeah.
Because it's like, then I got the whole, like, the people that try to get a rise of you giving their comments and thoughts and your show, this. And then I'm like, you know what?
It's easy to say screw those guys, but it's also, do you think about it? Like it plays over and over in your head.
Yeah, it does. It does. And, I bring it up every year. So I'm not a president that just kind of says, we're doing this and this is how we're going to do it.
You're not like me.
So I'm kind of like a majority vote person. So it's like I bring it up, hey, do we want to do a show? And right away, why wouldn't we want to do a show?
Let me tell you.
You're like,
Let me tell you.
We're doing a show.
I got 8 months of my life into this thing and reaching out to all my friends and sponsors and trying to get media there and trying to get vendors.
And we went over this with Seth, asking people for things.
Yeah, it's and this, I would say most of them are my friends now.
Yeah.
And I stay in contact. Obviously Seth is a big part and a big supporter of the truck scene in Arizona. I always tell people when people ask, hey, where can I get call Seth? Shane, All American Billet, man. He's been a big sponsor. He's been a big supporter of 7 Southwest and C10 Vatos. He's, always like, hey, whenever you're doing something, let me know, whether it's a show, a party in Vegas.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about your big
party. So that was a good highlight of C10 Vatos.
Yeah. I never went.
I know,
Neither have I.
You went, didn't you? You went. Yes, you guys left the softball tournament, and you guys came. You and Angie, you came to maybe the second one or maybe the first one.
Oh man, I don't remember.
No, there's probably pictures of you somewhere.
Maybe I don't know.
But Brian just straight up, I just gave up asking. I don't even ask him anymore.
Was it the year of when Rory did one too at Flow? Was it that year?
I can't remember.
Didn't you drop some stuff off at?
You might have.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we're.
Yeah. I don't know. So maybe.
But no. So it's like a lot of these guys are like people that I kind of reach out during the holidays or on birthdays and hey man, how's it going? So and every year I got to reach out to them and be like, can you help me out? Do you want to be a part of this and stuff like that? And it gets a little hard, and especially like after last year, it's like, oh, God, and you can't control weather. When I really think about it, there's nothing I could have done, other than having an indoor show, which is impossible to do.
Yeah, that's the thing that all of these things are so like not victim to, but liable to, just weather.
Yeah, there's no controlling it, but it's just it's a real, kick in the gut when people like, your show sucks and I'm never coming back. I'm like, sorry,
Well, like you said earlier, it's just like, well, then stay home.
Yeah.
Stay home. We don't need you.
Yeah.
We just want people who are wanting to come and have a good time.
Yeah. And that's always like, there's people,
like, your truck sucks.
There's people that I only see probably once a year, and that would be at our show, and stuff that come up. Maybe that are not even so much in the scene anymore, but they've come for so many years.
Yeah.
That they're like, oh, dude, I got to come every year.
Yeah. Kind of how Forbidden is too. Like, they don't go to a lot of things, but they come to that.
Yeah, which is good. It makes you feel good. Your guys' show is fun. I like it. It's one of Morgan's favorites shows where she doesn't even want to be a vendor anymore. She just wants to go and hang out.
Yeah,
and gamble. So
that's cool.
But,
that's awesome.
So where does C10 Vatos go now?
Yeah.
Where does Joe go now? What's your plans? You're building your Suburban.
We have a Suburban. We plan on driving that across the country. I
You want to do a power tour,
I
right?
want to do like hot rod power tour.
Yeah.
We were supposed to do that this year. We had a little setback. I've had the last couple of months. I've been dealing with some medical stuff.
Yep.
And but we're pushing through that and staying positive. And so we want to do a little more traveling. I'm not saying driving around the world,
But almost like slow down. Almost.
slow down. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
honestly, it's a bummer when we go to all these shows and we're like,
Yeah.
we got to get the
Go.
we gotta see C10s in the park, and we're there and back in 4 days.
We always brag about it, and we're always like, we did this. But then
Yeah.
you go, well, we didn't really enjoy it.
Yeah,
Right, right, yeah.
We didn't have a good. We're so tired, and it's cool. Like we go out there and see all our friends from the South, and we get to see the Parkers, and we get to go see the guys from United from by Trucks,
Yep.
and all the people we like to hang out with and that we get along with. And then it's like, oh, you guys going to the after party? Yeah, we'll be there. And we're like,
Oh, you see, that's the part. We went
and
2 years in a row and never went to the after party.
oh, no, yeah. And it's like, oh my God, like how do we miss that? And it's like we're laying in the
exhausting.
hotel room eating pizza, watching it. That looks pretty cool. We should have gone. We should have probably gone to that.
Next year, we'll go next year.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what we say every next year, and but yeah, no, it's hard work doing what we do.
Oh, yeah.
And what you guys do, and you guys definitely drive way further than me. I kind of have a radius. I kind of cut off at Texas.
Yeah, like Texas is that's your market. Like
That's our market, man. It's Texas. The people and the support that we've gotten from there is just
That's great.
It's great. Yeah. So
Cool.
Yeah. There's definitely like a lot of C10 shows on the East Coast and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
again, it's like, it's a trek.
it's a big commitment, and I still have a regular job.
That's another thing.
I
Is like
see.
you do have a full time
Yeah.
job.
Yeah,
so-
I do. Yeah, I've been there, like I said, 26 years, and can't really say where I work at. I work at a dealership. I can't say the name.
Which
Not
one?
allowed to. I've kind of signed a waiver. I can't talk about it.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Yeah. I'd have to look, but I'm pretty sure we just got bought out by a big investment company and stuff. So we're part of a big, huge, publicly traded company and stuff.
Oh, wow.
Like that.
That's
So.
cool. So that adds like another extra layer of difficulty
Yeah,
for you.
I'm burning up vacation time and time off and working for a dealership. But, the majority of people have worked, that are car guys, you've worked at a dealership, they don't like you to leave. And when you do leave, it's like you got to hear about it and whatever. You know what I mean?
So now if you leave, you
Yeah.
want to enjoy your time.
Yeah,
It's not like
I
you
do.
don't want to
yeah.
go work to
So,
work.
Right.
So going back to where I'm heading, so the page has been closed for over a year. We had
The website?
the website.
Yeah.
Yeah. So last year we had a lot of I don't want to say hackers, but people were imitators, people that were making C10 _ Vatos,
Oh.
and then reaching out to people and be like, everything from trying to sell El Patron, my blue and white truck. Hey man, I'm in a hard spot.
Really?
Yeah, I had guys like sent me screenshots, legit, and they're like, "Hey man, I just got this message from another page saying it's you that you need money and you're selling your truck for $8,000.
What the-
Don't send the money. Just
That's
not me."
crazy.
Yeah, but if you want to send me $8,000,
Yeah, you want to invest. And it kind of got to and it was like everything from like Bitcoin, and it was just
Yeah.
like getting out of control. And I literally just said,
that's the downside of operating your page on your own, because you have these big pages where they don't have to deal with that because they have people to deal with that.
yeah, yeah.
Where it's just you, so it's frustrating.
And
Yeah,
that's like
it is.
another job.
Yeah, no, it's everything I do in my life as a job. I look at everything as a job, whether it's your day job, whether it's C10 Vatos, whether it's a relationship. Relationship is a good job, though, a job that I do enjoy. Being a president of a club is a job.
Show promoter.
Being a show promoter, that's a job. So I have to look at it as a job and something that I have to get done. Like I have commitments to that job, individual job that I have to do and follow through with for the end result to be grand or great,
Yeah.
whether it be a show.
So is your plan to try to get the page open at some time?
Yeah,
Or your website.
yeah.
I'm sorry, the website open.
The website, yeah, we're right now physically. I'm finally starting to feel better. So I had surgery back in February. I had a kidney removed because I had a cancerous tumor.
Yeah.
So that surgery, they cut your gut And pretty much for a month, February, I sat around. I had a hard time walking. And the recovery time, it takes a lot longer. It takes a long time. And I'm not the best shape. So I guess maybe if I had a six pack and I was like in good shape, worked out, I might have recovered
Less
a little
tequila.
bit. Yeah, less tequila and less beer. Probably would have recovered a little bit faster. But
once you're back feeling 100, like you're playing.
yeah, you know, I actually tried to feel it out. Like, let's say April, I was like, I'm gonna go see if I can pick up a tote, and literally go to pick it up. I'm like, you feel it like inside.
Oh
And
man.
my doctor's like, you don't want to do that. You're gonna hurt yourself. And and I'm like, okay, so you know, I kind of got past the copycats and all the people trying to get that. So, and then. So this goes back all the way to Dino's last year. I did not feel good. I was having pain. I was in discomfort, and I pushed through. I was committed. You know, it's a big investment. We're here. It's a show in our backyard, and I pushed through. We had a little after event here at the house for, you know, our friends and stuff, and man, I ended up in the hospital a couple days later. Later that week, I was like, I can't deal with this. And I kind of just spiraled. They found the tumor from doing the CT scans and stuff.
So that was mid-November.
Yeah. So right before Thanksgiving, and so then I'm kind of freaking out. Like, okay, I got Severn to Southwest. I got to do so. Usually it's something that I probably would have just kept to myself, but I had a lot of people. I don't want to say counting on me, but there's a lot of stuff that I was involved with, you know, Severn Southwest being one.
You had some of your members step up and kind of...
Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah. They always do, you know, and I think a lot of it, I take a lot of stuff like upon myself to do.
Yeah.
And I just kind of said, all right, guys, here's the deal. And it was like a daily thing to where there's very possible that day I'm going to be in real bad shape and I'm not going to be able to go. So my vice president, Steve, I kind of said, here's the layout. Here's what we got to do. If I don't show up, people came and picked up stuff where normally I just rent a U-Haul, like the little U-Haul truck van, load everything up and take it down there. And all the show stuff's together.
But you made it.
We made it.
Then Frank almost took you out.
Yeah, Frank almost killed.
That was before.
That was the year before.
That was the year. I didn't go last year.
Bringing up old stuff.
I know.
Sorry.
I didn't.
Timelines are...
Yeah. So...
But that
You're making it sound like I almost ran over Joe after dealing with all of this stuff.
Joe survives cancer. Frank takes him out.
So, yeah, between that and then just having a bad year, you know, rained out, you know, I was kind of like, oh, you know, so
You were mentally recouping now.
Yeah,
mentally and physically recouping.
Yeah, more physically at this point. I'm definitely I get a lot of people that message me, and I just, you know, a lot of people don't know. You know, I kind of posted like, hey man, I had some medical stuff I'm going through, and you know, the people that I talk to on a regular basis that message me and stuff, that we kind of become more of online friends, you know, the people that send me the content, the people that like, oh dude, what's going on? You know, what are you up to? And, you know, and people that I might never meet, you know, that live, you know, some people live in Mexico and South America and stuff like that. So a lot of Canadians. So I love Canada also. A lot of support. Australia. Yeah. That's one of my favorite places I've ever been.
You going back?
I want to. I definitely want to. Yeah. You know, I love the country and everything. So and the scene, the lot of big C10, a lot of big truck scene down there. You know, those guys are building killer stuff. You know, so
it's awesome.
But pushing forward, right now, unfortunately, our next show is probably going to be Dino's. We had planned on doing that Central Cal show.
C10 Slowdown.
The Slowdown.
Oh,
I don't think I'm going to be physically 100% because I get drained quick. And it's weird because I'm so used to like driving 18 hours and getting there and setting up booth, putting everything up. And then I'm not tired until like we get home. Now it's like I do something and I feel it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So.
And Dino's, it's coming up so fast.
It's coming up real quick. Yeah. So right now we're starting inventory, you know, seeing what we need to reorder, trying to get.
Are you getting more excited for it?
Yeah.
Because you haven't done it since.
Yeah. I'm rusty. And it's going to feel good to see people. I've had so many people message me that they're coming, you know, people that have never been before. Some of the Canadians are coming down and you know, the United by Truck guys. It's always good to see those guys.
Yeah, those guys are great.
And you know, everybody else, you know, Alex from, you know, West Texas and that whole crew. So Hot Rod Dave. So it's
Hot Rod Dave's the best.
Man, I love that guy, man. I want to go hang out with him out in this area. But it's always good to see those people. It's exciting. Like you're like I'm tired, and like, oh, and, hey, what's up, man?
They're part of the, like how we were talking about, we have the vendor group, and the vendor group goes beyond just us too.
Yeah.
Like we always, like there's KIK, and there's like the guys you see at the show, you become in this relationship with them, and it's the same with that, because you see those C10 guys, they go to everything, and it becomes that same thing. It's that same group. You're just so happy to see them.
And it like invigorates you too. You're just like,
you go to mini truck Nats, we see our mini truck Nats, you know, and it's just like, yeah, man, and you don't see each other for a whole year sometimes. But the C10 stuff, you see, like you know,
there's a lot more shows, more C10, you know, related active shows, you know. But you know, we have our traditions. You know, people come by the booth, they drink tequila, and you know, I always have beers and tequila and stuff. So, you know, that's always fun. That makes this job really fun and enjoyable. That I get to hang out with friends, other friends that we don't see all the time, and
we get
have
to
some
rip
drinks
on each other.
Oh yeah, it's always fun. The booth life is always fun. With all we were talking about like all this like negative, crazy crap that has happened to us, but ultimately the booth life is always fun.
So pizza and wings.
At the end of the day.
At the end of the day.
Those are the best.
In our Airbnbs.
It's a really good time. And so maybe Dino's will be like a little catalyst into like
that's definitely, I mean, it's going to be a year since I've done a booth. So I'm going to be a little bit rusty. So
well, it'll be a good like all right, now I'm ready for LST. Yeah. Now I'm ready for this, or
for sure.
Whatever. You know?
Well, it'll kind of get you going because like you're in your hometown, you kind of get
it is. You know, and it's
and
a
you're
show
not driving all the way out to Texas.
And that's the big thing too. I mean, honestly, I think a road trip and a booth would put me over the edge right now. I probably wouldn't be able to. I'd be miserable. Yeah. And that's the big thing. If Dino's was in Texas, I'd probably be like, I can't go. You know, it's, you know, so it's kind of gonna work up to my
Dino's is going to be crazy this year.
I'm looking forward to it. The last year was my first Dino's, and that was crazy. Like I felt like, you know, I hear about the appliance days, and I hear about like all the early days, and it sounds so cool. But I'm glad I started with that one because it was just so crazy.
You started here.
Yeah, exactly. Like I started way at the top. Yeah. So I'm excited to come back out.
It's cool to see that show grow, and you know, we've been a part of it as it's grown over the years, and going from the shop to
this was my booth.
Yeah.
And this I had a table and you had a table.
Yeah, that was
at the appliance shop.
At the appliance shop. Yeah. No easy yet. We were just back in.
In the corner. Yeah.
That was it.
That's awesome.
And then now it's just like there's 200 vendors there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's an expo basically.
Pretty much. Yeah. I mean, I would put it on tier with it's probably. I mean, this is just coming from me putting it up against SEMA. Not that they're competing.
Like if you took every truck related vendor from SEMA, take all the cars away and all the trucks and group them, that's what that was.
Oh my God. Did you see the list of people that are coming this year? It's insane. I mean, it's crazy. And
I hope it can keep going because he is one person. He's got a big, good group.
Yeah, and he's got his girlfriend. I mean, Terry's on it. But it's.
I don't want to say it's just one, but it is.
Yeah,
it's not a huge business that puts that on. So it's like staff wise to run that show as well as it went last year for as many people that showed up was amazing.
And every year it's improving. They always say they kind of, I think they're smart about it. Terry's very smart about it and sees where the issues were. Yeah. And he's tend to ask me, what do you think? How can we improve? And I think he's probably asked you probably about the same. And we give them our 2 cents. And they I either note it or write it down or keep it in their head and improve on that every year, which is great, you know, because that's huge. Like I wouldn't even know I would have you and I have talked about doing a show. Yeah. You know, just doing our own brand and doing a show. And it's like
low key, me and Joe we were like, I don't want to do my show no more. And Joe's like, I don't know about this. And it's usually right after before the show. It's right before the show because it's just
when it's the most stressful.
Yeah. Well, and you're just like, and then And then we both were like, we should do our own show. And we're like, why? What are we talking about?
Why do I want to add another job? You know?
Yeah, that's funny.
But yeah. So yeah, Dino's is just amazing. I feel I'm real lucky to be a part of it, and that Dino respects me. I see him as a friend and also a mentor. You know, I reach out to him and talk to him when I business ideas or whatever. You know, just thoughts. You know, or just to talk. I mean, we'll get on the phone and Mrs. C10 Vatos and Terry's probably like, God, you guys are like a couple of girls. You know, and you get on the phone with them, and if we get on a topic, it could be an hour. We're just chit chatting and talking and stuff, and you know, he's that type of person. He's a good person to talk to. You know, it's like hanging out with. He could be one of our LST. He's a very positive. Yeah, very positive guy.
He doesn't talk like anything controversial.
Nope.
Nothing like, he doesn't talk bad about people. Like he's just
so he's like happy to see you kind of thing.
He's very positive.
Yeah, it is, and it's good to have people like that. It's great to know people like that, I should say, and especially to have them be a part of your life as a friend or somebody that you can reach out to. It's always good.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, me and Brian kind of tend to be negative sometimes, especially on our own when we're just talking and like,
little ranty,
little therapy, venting therapy, you know.
So.
Yeah.
We're like, did you see what Frank said the other day?
Yeah. Jeez, that guy.
Joe's like, it should be like, get a new co-host.
Yeah, I know, right?
Not me though. No.
Yeah, it'd be the drop with Joe and Brian.
Yeah, I like it. That has a nice ring to it.
I'll just stand in when Frank's on one of his trips or something.
We'll call it C10. We'll just create a C10 one and call it like C10 Talk.
Oh, there you go. That's a good name,
isn't it?
That's a really good name.
Wait, isn't that Ronnie's?
Yeah. I know.
Wait a minute. Ronnie's like, cease and desist. There it comes.
C10 Vatos Talk.
Yeah.
What are you going to do now,
Vato
Ronnie?
Talk.
Yeah.
Vato Talk.
Vato Talk.
Yeah.
And that's, it's, I've seen a lot of people like kind of add Vato to a lot of stuff, and people try to write off of the popularity.
Yeah.
Of the name. And that happens to a lot of people. I mean, I seen somebody had kind of something that had very similar to the Get Down. And I was like, that's kind of
an event.
An event.
Yeah.
I was like, that's kind of weird. And it's like, and that kind of goes back to like, build your own thing. You know what I mean? And that was like I said, when I started this, I didn't want to tell anybody. I was just kind of just kept it, and I just did the media thing, did the social media, and did that. And
like, it's okay to look at things and get ideas from it.
Yeah.
And then
of course,
make your own. And I don't think people do it, maybe not vindictively. I think a lot of people just don't know.
Yeah.
That happens a lot, I think.
Yeah.
Like, especially like your name, Custom.
Oh yeah,
That's a very common name.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like Vatos is not, Grinder TV is not, but Custom, like there's a lot of stuff out there with Custom. And I remember you were a little reluctant even when you started.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because there was already like a few pages out there. There was like Custom Life magazine, or there's like but after doing it all of these years and being really concerned, sometimes I've kind of like chilled out a lot on it. I've kind of come to the conclusion that like a lot of things can exist at the same time.
But your name and what you do is nothing similar to what other people do in the scene.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
You know what I mean? Even though there's custom in a lot of things, yours is different. That similar name, Custom Life, and then the video side of it, like you kind of packaged it all.
Yeah, it's a part of the brand. Yeah. It's part of the branding and everything.
Did you guys have another name prior to the Custom?
Yeah, we did. We used to be called BST Clothing.
That's what.
BST.
I couldn't remember because Morgan has one of your OG. Hoodies.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. Yeah. Well, we were BST up until like 17 was the first year that we were Custom Line.
That's right.
Kind of feels like it was so much longer before you changed, but it wasn't that long.
No, it wasn't. It hasn't been that long. I was BST for a lot longer.
Like, they made the change.
Blood, sweat, and tears.
Blood, sweat, tears.
Yeah, I never heard of that before.
Yeah, I know. There was a lot of missteps in that. There's a lot of years of missteps, but eventually you work it out and you move on, and that's it.
It's a punk rock brand.
Yeah, that's all. That's what it is. That's basically what it is.
We're just a punk rock brand trapped in a mini truck and body.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Trying to escape, and the mini truck keeps pushing it back in. And no, look at this. It's cool, and people are like, "What is that?"
They're like, "What is that?"
Yeah, that's a mini trucking shirt with like the
a punk rocker.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah,
Sometimes my I get a little conflicted on things, but whatever. It's okay.
it's all right.
Yeah.
all right.
I got to bottle stuff in a lot of times and like, I can't get that. Can't put that on a shirt. You know? So,
Well, awesome, man.
This has been 2 hours.
2 hours.
Yeah, this is a good one. Thank you. That's
No,
a good
definitely.
one.
I was a little nervous. I'll be honest
Yeah.
with you because I kept asking you, "What are we going to talk about?" Kind of want to have some thoughts going in my head, but like it made it easy just being with you guys because it's no different than us being at
This is
LST,
just like hanging out.
being at the Airbnb
Yeah.
and just having therapy and just talking
Yeah.
and stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, man, this was cool. I'm glad.
Yeah,
I was
awesome.
nervous.
It took a long time, but I wanted Frank to be. We all wanted us to be together today.
Yeah. Rather than on like
sure.
through
Yeah.
FaceTime and stuff.
Yeah,
That works out
yeah,
good.
it's always kind of.
I think because the FaceTime things are cool and stuff, but it's hard with guests.
Yeah,
it gets me
we
a little
realize that.
frustrated sometimes. Not at the guests, but just
The situation.
it's just hard.
Yeah.
You know, I think now, like I'm gonna go out to SoCal and we'll do like 3 or 4 people out there, and then
got to get Brett on here.
oh, I know, I don't
Just
know.
a lot of beep,
That could
lot of
go, like-
beeping.
Yeah.
Beep, 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 beep. Because
Yeah.
you guys.
No, you can have cussing, but you got to click on a certain
God
thing
damn.
on it.
I'm just-
Yeah.
Beep that one.
If it's more than a certain few
Yeah.
cuss words, you have to put the explicit thing on.
Oh,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
monetized.
I remember last year's Dino's hanging out in your backyard, and Brett was telling the United by
Oh,
Trucks
my
guys
God.
stories, and there's these like innocent Southern boys, and
Yeah.
Brett telling severed tie stories, and they're just
Yeah.
all
Yeah, yeah.
It was so
yeah.
great.
With some of my sponsors. And,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah.
Oh, yeah, they were there too.
Yeah. So,
And Brett is just
and I had this midget.
but and the thing is, at the end of the night, it's like everybody they love it. You know,
Yeah.
they end up loving it.
Well, he's just a really good storyteller.
You know, he is. He's his stories.
well, he has a lot of good stories.
He's got a lot of good stories.
A lot of good stories.
He's got. He's got.
Some of them we can't talk about on
No,
on
a lot
podcasts
of them.
and stuff.
The-
Yeah, a
my
lot of them.
favorite one though is the 7-Eleven one with the truck.
when he crashed it.
Yeah, that's. I always like. I got a friend that did that. He's right there. He's, somebody brings up crashing a vehicle into a house or something.
Joe's really good at tagging. Like we had the trailer mishaps, so now he tags Grinder TV.
Oh, I know, I see
This
it.
weekend. It's just a trailer going crazy. You can do that same thing with Brett whenever you
Yeah.
find.
Oh no,
something crazy.
I've literally somebody a couple years back. Somebody drove through a store here, and I was like, "Were you in town and didn't call me?" And he's like,
That's
"He loves
hilarious.
telling. He loves the attention. He does." And,
Oh yeah, he does.
honestly, Brett will help you. He puts that exterior of like,
He's got a rough, grumpy old man shell.
but he's a big
softy on-
softy.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So
All right.
who else
Well-
you guys? Who else do you guys have lined up
Out here.
out or back in California?
Oh.
Does have anybody?
So Cali boy Carlos.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. So Carlos is he's a mini trucker.
Yeah.
Old mini trucker wasn't forbidden for a while, and
he's blown up. He's huge.
he has a lot of interesting stories.
Yeah, I can only
So-
imagine. Yeah.
You know, so he's yeah, it's been cool to see his journey. You know what I mean? Like, so like when he first got in Forbidden, he used to be like, I want to like. It was when I was starting Grinder magazine, and he's just like he had an Accord, like a bagged Accord wagon and a bag Corolla, and he's always just tried to like hustle something. And I'm
Yeah,
glad
no,
he
he's a hardworking
finally
dude, yeah.
Found his niche in the YouTube thing and like it and all and the Instagram thing and all that stuff. So him, Donald from TruckRun.net.
Oh, okay.
He's got some interesting stories.
Yeah, he's got some great ones.
Couple guys in Forbidden that'll be back on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see where it goes.
Maybe Brett.
Maybe.
I was telling him you got to do this thing. Yeah, that one might have to get the explicit. They get the really good stories.
They're like, why was that podcast only 3 minutes long?
Yeah.
Right.
Like that's the only 3 minutes.
That's
Yeah, that's the only
3 minutes you can hear
usable
about.
3 minutes. We're gonna have to start a Patreon, and then
Yeah,
like
ooh.
do it as like
OnlyFans. Oh, the drop.
Ours
drop
was called
only
OnlyFan.
Only fan.
only flan, only flan.
Only Flan with Mike Milan. All right, we're done.
All right. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.
Bye.
Right.